describes acts of extreme violence in graphic detail and may include discussions about demonology and the occult, topics that caused widespread panic during the 1980s. This content may not be suitable for children under the age of 50. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Previously on Grogtalk.
You're my father. You're my or mother. You're my elven mother.
No.
That's just go roll with it, James. You are. Roll with it.
Okay.
So,
Son, you disappointed me.
well, why can you be more like your brother Elrond?
That's right.
So I hate life. I want to kill, and my goal, of course, is to become a.
I hate life. I want to kill. I gotta snip at that for a soundbite.
Mommy, can I be the Guild Master of Assassins? This is something called the Warp, James.
Work?
Warp. W-U-R-P. The Warp.
WKRP?
No, not WKRP. W-U-R-P.
Ah.
The Warp has a suction cup base. It was the 70s, James.
That's right.
It was a different time.
Different time.
It is a...
Ooh, 17. Or was that?
Yes, you were right. It is a 17. This should be something very interesting. Syphil. It sounds like a disease.
Sybil?
Is this a...
I'm sorry.
Is this a disease chart?
You'll need a tincture to cure that syphil. What is it?
I did a tincture and I got a syphil. So it is our pleasure to have on the show the great Janelle Jaques.
I don't necessarily love a lot of the changes that Peter Jackson made. I'm very disappointed that they removed the whole Tom Bombadil.
Thank you.
Bombadil sequence.
Thank you. That was going to be my next question. Thank you.
If I want to read long prose for pages at a time, and nothing happens. Yes, those are wonderful books.
Welcome to the Grogtalk with your hosts, Dan and James.
Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Grog Talk. I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
Where are we from today, Dan?
James, you're going to be very excited to learn that today we're at a theater. We've moved up in the world.
Okay.
From inns and taverns. We are at the Piper Theater in Piper's Corner in your beloved old stomping grounds, Pelennor.
Oh, Pelennor.
Pelennor,
Yes.
and the City League. James, Piper's Theater is nowhere near the biggest or most imposing in the City League, but the quality of the dramatic productions put on under the auspices of, why do they always do this? Augustine Hemorrhagius. Everyone does names that you can't pronounce in D&D.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? Okay, no one cares.
What was the guy's name?
Really? Okay. Okay, I see how this show's going. Augustine, not Augustine.
It's not Augustine.
I don't think so, because it's Augkus.
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yep. Augustine, yeah.
Augustine.
Hamadouis? Hamadouis?
It's not French. Is it? Hemorrhagius is of the highest.
Oh.
Low and high comedies and tragedies, concerts, farces. That's why we were invited.
Yes.
And sheer extravagances such as Mask. What's a mask? M-A-S-Q-U-E?
I think it's a mask, isn't it?
Well, you put on a mask?
Marcadian Mask. Or maybe it's a show. I don't know.
Extravagance such as Mask. Oh, it's like a masquerade?
Yes.
But it's not a party, obviously.
It's
it's
a
a
mask
show.
like that, right?
But it's a show. Yes, it's a show.
It's a mask, yeah. But it's...
Yeah, but it's clearly a show of some kind.
Right.
Don't you think? It's not just people... Okay.
It's like Eyes Wide Shut or whatever, that Kubrick weird movie with... What was that with...
The dog? Stanley Kubrick had the one with the dog, didn't he?
Yeah, or was that the one with the Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman where they're all wearing masks?
Oh, Circus or something?
Yeah.
Cirque du Soleil?
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil? Okay.
Okay.
So hold on.
It's a high-end party. Yeah, high-end party, yeah. Okay.
High-end party. Obviously, we have not been invited to.
No.
We should have a mask at GrogCon.
That's right, at the Flesh Pole Festival at Mass.
We do Flesh Pole festivals. We're not really the mask crowd. We're the Flesh Pole. We're the other part of town. We're the East End, not the West End.
That's right.
So such as mass have all been presented at one time or another, and Augustine, he's a writer, James, Hamaritis' own Night of the Jewels, a comedy of errors, set in a thieves' guild, is still occasionally mentioned as one of the funniest plays in years. The theater is small and intimate, with seating only for the selected few in the upper gallery and at the back. At the moment, performances are taking place to audiences of just a few dozen. The brave and the foolhardy and the ghoulish who hope to see something more true to life enacted in the theater. There's been a series of grisly murders in the area, James.
Well, give yourselves a hand out there for coming and enduring this grisly event that we're here. So they're going to watch us die live on things.
We may not make it out alive. Yes, killed on the air. James and Dan murdered at Piper's Theater.
Are we getting killed on the air?
Okay, it'll be a murder mystery then. The show will continue.
Could be murder-suicide at this point. But...
Double suicide? Yes.
Yes.
Well, the dice don't lie.
Yes.
And I think murdered, you could use murdered, not in a literal sense. Well, you could in a literal sense.
Right.
But
it's still early.
This shows, so basically what this means is this show's be terrible.
Or we murdered, we killed.
Oh, either we killed or we're dying up here.
Exactly. It could go either way. Well,
Okay.
very good.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, again, looking forward to seeing what the great show here is at the Piper Theater. We have a bunch of announcements. First of all, I know you can't hear it, but GrogCon is coming. I just did my cousin's scary voice that you get terrified.
That's why I didn't want to use the headphones.
That's right.
It's too frightening.
Is coming. I'm wearing the official shirt.
I didn't get the memo.
No, it's okay. I'm going to wear the official shirt every week. So,
Did I ever tell you about the story where we were supposed to dress up in costumes in elementary for Halloween, and I dressed up a day early, and I got on the bus, and I realized quite quickly I had dressed up a day early. I was in a Superman costume, alone.
Does your parents, no one in your immediate family, were you completely like a latchkey kid that wasn't even... You could have been disappeared for days and no one would have noticed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as you can see, that parenting strategy was a disaster.
And have you been to therapy about this?
Right. No, but my wife routinely tells me I should.
Because, wow, that's horrible.
Right?
That's not even close. I mean, well, at least it was a day off, I guess.
It was one day. I was one day early.
Wow, that's
okay,
horrible.
can we just move on, please?
No, I'm sorry.
I'm very upset.
Well, it was interesting. Before we came on, I was telling a story too. So we should have intimate portraits.
Oh, we could have like a spin-off.
Yeah.
Where we just, talk to me, James.
That's right.
Why are you seem down today, James?
Intimate
Any
portraits
reason? What's
of
wrong?
Grogtalk. That's right. Tell me why? How did you get to this place? What was your journey?
Journey to the dark side.
Journey to hell.
It's a very dark Grogtalk.
Journey to hell. How I murdered people. But obviously, GrogCon, October 15th through the 17th. If you want a shirt, we have two types of shirts. We have the standard shirt, which just says GrogCon. If you are a member of the Grog Empire, you can get a member of the Grog Empire shirt. You must put your order in by August 1st so that we can have them available to you when you show up at the show in October. There will be limited, i.e. very little extra shirts. So you can't be like Dan and show up a day early and think you're going to get a shirt. You're not going to get a shirt if you don't put an order.
Or a day late.
Or a day late,
would maybe make more sense.
True.
Okay.
So please do not do that. If you want a shirt, put an order in. The shirts are $20, and then when you come to the show, you register, you get your badge, you come over to the GrogTalk table, which we will have a table banner. I ordered the table banner.
Nice.
So you come to our table banner, and I will hand you the shirt if you hand me money.
Wow.
What a deal. The capitalism at its best.
Yes.
But we're not making money. We're just trying to recover the funds it costs us to make the shirt. So please do that. We will be, if you have signed up, got your badge already, you can start putting in your events. But Dan and I will be putting our events in, and you'll be able to get tickets. So the way it works with tabletop events, you buy badges so you can get into the event. That's what costs money. And then once the people put events inside the convention. So, for instance, I'll be running Paranoia probably Friday afternoon. I'll have to go into tabletop events, put it in, and then you, the person who wants to play, can put tickets. You buy tickets. And tickets for these will be all free. It's included with the package. So that you'll be able to do that on August 1st, starting August 1st. And then we haven't got any artwork for the Planetar mascot. I'm just letting you know that.
What a shock. I'd forgotten who the mascot was.
I know.
Do we have a name for the Planetar?
No. This is why I keep this every week, so you can see what's going on.
You might as well just also put up there on the list the book reunification project.
Yes. Well, that is going well, actually.
Wait, get out. What?
I mean, if you went to Disc, we haven't reunified one yet.
Well, how is that going well?
Well, we have people in England working really hard at trying to find books for each other. It's international. There has been obviously an international conspiracy to separate owners from their books, and now we're putting it back together. Like, what is that? National Exploit Book Group, whatever. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I need to know.
Like I am having a terrible day today. In the United States, there's a National Alliance to Save Exploited Children or something like that.
Oh.
Well, this is the International Alliance to restore
exploited books?
Book relations.
So you're saying that, like, I'm exploiting my fiend folio? Like I'm like a kidnapper or something?
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean...
holding a kid in a dungeon?
Blaine McGuire. We've talked about Blaine.
And the thing is, it actually tells you how to return this. It says return to room 5.
Room 5.
I love this. This is, okay, yeah, so those of you who don't remember that, Blaine McGuire, we have a phone number. Why aren't we calling this?
I think we tried.
Is 213 New Jersey? Where's 213?
I have no idea.
Blaine McGuire.
I mean, now they're going to tell me I have to put it up on Discord, which I really do.
We have an address, 18925.
I think we tried to look up, and there's like 15 of them. I think it's in California.
Northridge. Yes. His
right.
mom is probably still living there.
18925 Granada Court, you think?
Circle.
Okay.
He gives you everything. Blaine was on top of it. Deities and demigods. This kid must be rich.
Northridge, California.
Wait, James, it looks like a mansion.
Yeah,
Is that? No wonder he had deities and demigods. The kid was rich. Oh, it's not that. It looked like it.
Wow.
It looked like Versailles in that little picture because it seemed to be far back.
Well, it's in California. It's probably worth more than our houses combined.
Well, that's true. I don't know what area, but yeah, some of those areas.
What is the area code?
He did not do that.
No, what is it? 213.
Oh, area code. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought you zip code. You're gonna put in a phone number?
Well, I'm gonna put in the.
So it must be.
It's LA. So this must be in the LA area.
Okay.
So now you want me to get rid of my deities and demigods that I got. Okay.
So, all right, guys. We need to put the... what are the emperors? We give orders. You need to find Blaine McGuire, who formerly lived in Northridge, California, because we need to return this to room 5.
Whichever room 5 it is.
Well, all we need to do is find the local school.
And drop it off there.
At room 5.
Right. So if you want me to drop it off on room 5, I'll need either postage or a ticket to Los Angeles. And I assume it's Northridge Elementary?
We'll have to do the show from there.
Ooh, I like that idea.
We're going to L.A., James. We're going to be like Ernie Gygax.
That's right.
We're heading to do the cartoon.
Where's the blow? That's it.
No. Hey, now. I don't know. It's nothing. Okay. All right.
I think he said it. He's the one who told us it was a party thing. Not making up things.
Lawyers say you can't say that.
I can't say what he said?
Nope.
That he had a great time as a 20-year-old?
He can say it.
Oh, I see. I see how that
you
works.
can't. He will say, I was just
Wow,
kidding. You've defamed me.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I did. Wait a minute. He can't say that. So if I say something that I associate with myself, now we are.
I don't know. Do people want us to move on?
Yes,
with an exclamation point.
You're so lucky. Those dice are so good. All right, moving on. The Grognards Guild Online. Speaking of that, if you want to play online, Discord, that other thing, besides the channel with the book reunification, there is people playing by post, people playing online, all thanks to what's happening on Discord. So go out to Discord, you can play online, or you can go to Meetup, which I will say, your patrons pay for a lot of things. What they don't pay for, he pays for the meetup himself.
That's true.
Out of his own pocket, and has for years.
Thanks for reminding me.
Every month he's paying for something that he barely uses, which is very nice.
Yes.
So go out there, and if you want to start a game, let us know, info@grogcon.com, or go out to the Discord, and we can give you access to the meetup, because we want people to play One. Again, patrons, thank you. Did you? No, my Deities and Demigods does. It's not the super cool one. It's the cheap one.
Not the 144 page or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's the cheap one. I'm okay. I can look for the. That would be.
Well, Blaine. So Blaine wasn't that rich. Oh, no. So Blaine, we know when Blaine bought that, and we can identify that.
Yeah, we can infer.
Right, because it doesn't have the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah, it's a. What printing does? Doesn't say printing. It just says. Printing USA.
Save it for Allan. He can answer all. We're going to go through our books, James, and he's going to tell us how little value they all are.
Right.
Because they're like, oh yeah, that's 93rd edition.
Yeah, it's not.
He'll be like, turn to page 47. Does it have this? So get ready. Have your books appraised.
Ooh.
This is going to be like
sideshow, not
Antique Roadshow.
That's right.
He's going to praise our books for us.
I love it. That sounds good. Well, again, thank you to your patrons for making this happen. We don't have a heraldry this time. Next time we'll do a giveaway. I guess we'll do the sack shaking live at our, because next time we're doing our live event from Sci-Fi City.
From outside Sci-Fi City.
Possibly outside Sci-Fi City.
The parking lot.
It may be in the
They're not open yet.
It may be in the parking lot.
At least it won't be hot.
You think so? We're dying out here in the sweat box known as Orlando.
Then we go in and run a game. We'll have to take a shower in between.
People are like, oh, it's so hot in Seattle. Yeah, I understand 103. Yeah, if I didn't have air conditioning, but 103 versus 95 here in the humidity, I'll take 103. But you guys don't have air conditioning in the Northwest, so that's got to be horrible.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah, they didn't get our air conditioning. It just reminds me when I lived in New York. We had to live in... You've lived here your whole life, right? Pretty much.
Well, I lived in New York for 3 years.
Oh, okay. So, no one had air conditioning. They usually have the little wall unit, and it was in your bedroom, and everyone had to hang out in the bedroom. It was.
And I remember when I was in New York, they would switch it over. They'd actually have to switch it. It was either one or the other. It was either heat or air conditioning. And so, okay.
We never used the heat part. I guess they had that.
See if our fans want us to move on. Oh no, they like this conversation. So, all right. So let's talk about AC. They like AC talk. Armor class. They thought we were talking about armor class.
Ooh. That's good. Hold on. I like that. AC cup.
It's about air conditioning.
That's right. We've ended the show, Grog. We've AC talk.
More viewers.
Talking about armor class the whole time. Anyway, so speaking of that, we will be July 24th at Sci-Fi City to run our summer tournament. And our summer tournament... who just harassed me? Oh, okay. Very nice. So, our summer tournament was written by none other than Dan, and we will be doing it live. So, if you are in the Orlando area, near the Orlando area, and want to spend your Saturday afternoon playing a fun game, come out to Sci-Fi City. It's on the meetup. Please register. We need to know how many people are coming.
Yes.
So, it is very important. If you want to play, love to have you. There's no cost. Just come out for the afternoon. We'll do the show. It's going to be a little bit later, 2 weeks from now. It's not going to be at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. It's going to be probably closer to noon because, unfortunately, Sci-Fi City doesn't open until noon. So it'll probably be I don't know, what did we come up with eventually? Did we say 12:30 to 1:30 we're going to do the show? And
we have not come up with. We're having that conversation now.
I think we're doing 12:30 to 1:30. Then we're going to have some lunch, and then we're going to play at 2 o'clock or something.
2 to 6.
2 to 6.
Sounds good.
That's what we're doing. So if you want to be there for the show, come at noon. You can help us set up. You can see the band of gypsies that we are as we try to get this going.
Yes, come help us set up.
Right. That would be great.
That you're selling that.
Yeah. And so what's even more fun is if we do have to sit outside and do the show, people standing in the parking lot looking at us doing the show. Because we'll be under the awning. They'll be in the open parking lot.
Right, sweating. Right. And I believe under local rules now, you can't give out water.
Right.
Or is that voting, or is that
voting and
podcast?
Podcast? Yes. In our case, they would probably say if you're that committed, you don't deserve water. But I think they can bring their own water. You just can't hand out water.
Okay. Okay.
We'll confirm our local legislation to ensure.
And there'll be a poll tax, and you'll have to
Well, that goes without saying. There is a test. I mean, if you're
take a
coming out.
test.
It's the Grogtalk test. That is the humanity. That's wrong. So that's 2 weeks from today. Next week, we are doing our patron exclusive, which you'll be running as well. It's just a busy 2 weeks for you, man.
It is.
And we'll be doing that, and that is what we'll be showing during our August sojourns. And we have some sojourns set up. So, anyway, with that said, anything we need to talk about besides the tournaments?
No.
Nope. Excellent. Let's go to 1981.
All right.
The best of.
Okay, I'll try to do this fast because there was a lot happening, James. Okay, ready for this? I think it's hilarious. June 27th, 1981.
June 27th.
1981.
We're in July, but okay.
I know, but we're catching up because it's been 2 weeks, since we last met, James.
Ah, that's right.
The UK's Ministry, of course it's the UK.
Yeah.
The UK's Ministry of Defence orders all copies of a Forestry Commission map to be destroyed after it is found to accidentally have included the location of a secret NATO base near Gwent. Well, obviously I thought it was funnier than
It is funny.
That's funny.
You just stopped.
No, it's period.
It was like your own private joke.
I know. I'm
And
not very good at this.
You kept going, and
I
then
just
you
laughed.
you're like hee hee, and then that
I
was it.
know. I'm terrible, right? I laugh at my own jokes here. No, so the Forestry Commission map accidentally included the secret location of a NATO base.
I like the Ministry of Defense because that just reminds me of there's like an Ozzy song where he keeps going through all the rock and roll rebel.
I'm a rock and roll rebel.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Defense, blah 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 blah. That's what I thought you were going with.
No, I was going with the NATO map.
So that's basically a precursor to what happened with Google Maps. Street View, where they took pictures of people naked and dead people. Yeah, there's been all kinds of. You've not heard that?
No.
Well, obviously they got these little Google trucks that go around taking pictures. Well, they found naked people, dead people, other terrible things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did I catch like a murder? Okay.
I'm sure they've seen some various things like that.
Okay. Now we're into July.
Okay.
40 years ago, July 3rd, this woman, James, wins Wimbledon.
Martina Navratilova?
That would be a good guess.
Billie Jean King?
She's getting a little older.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chris Everett?
You had a big, I was just about to say, you had a big crush on her, James. Chris Everett Lloyd, an American, wins. Ready for this?
Golf clap for America.
Yeah, for America. July 4th. July 4th, James, in
Independence Day.
England.
That's right.
American in England. You know who wins?
John McEnroe.
That must have pissed them off.
You can't. I don't have. You can't be serious. I'm sorry I didn't get that.
No, but I don't think that probably made them mad.
Right.
I wonder what they thought of John. Okay. The 5th. Sorry, there's so much here. Rajan.
Was that the war of British aggression? That's the independent revolutionary war?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be left alone, and they came over and they ran up Bunker Hill.
Right.
Rajan Mahadevan of India sets a world record by reciting pi to 31,811 places from memory.
Wow.
How do you do that?
Apparently with practice, like how do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Do you think he got to 31,812 and missed it, or he's just like, look, I'm done?
Yeah.
Was he like 4? Oh, wait, 3! It's like Monty Python. 4 to 3!
No.
Okay. The Hillside Strangler on the 6th makes an unexpected full confession. It wouldn't be 40 years ago if we didn't have something about a serial murder, right?
We just don't have the same. Is it me? I know there's a lot of true crime. I know it's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. But have we had a good serial killer recently? I mean, Ted Bundy, the Zodiac Killer, Hillside Strangler, the Trans-Siberian Railroad Killer.
I'll tell you why.
They're all multiple killers, and they all came out in the 70s and 80s.
I'll tell you why, James. They're too easy. It's CSI.
Oh, is it CSI?
They're caught too easily now. Jack the Ripper, they never knew. They never caught him. Now... Right. Jack the Ripper, it'd be like, 2 days later.
He may get 1 or 2. That's about it.
Right. He'd never be Jack the Ripper. He'd just be Jack. Okay. The 9th. Okay, now I get to what you really want to know about.
Yes.
Thursday, July 9th, 1981, Nintendo launches the following video game.
Well, the only video game I'm aware of that's a Nintendo that I would know is Donkey Kong. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Is that your final answer?
It is my final answer.
You, sir, are correct.
Ooh! Yay, ding ding for me.
And then the last one, I told you there's a lot happening. Ready for this? July 10th, 1981, a town
40
bully.
years ago today.
40 years ago today, James, a town bully, Kevin Rex McElroy, is shot dead in front of a crowd in Skidmore, Missouri after a decades-long reign of terror in the town. Despite there being at least 46 witnesses to his killing, nobody is ever identified as the culprit.
Wow. That is a ooh. And are you not in the town?
Maybe they just all got together with guns and they're like, if we all fire at once, like the firing squad, you wouldn't know who had blanks, who did it. If we all just fire,
Right.
we just get one gun, we'll just mix them all around.
Right.
It's like a firing squad.
I can't believe they never found the killer of that.
Well,
that seems.
He was never, well, no one talked.
I got to get my wife on that case because she's the true one of the she's a true crime junkie like a lot of people are. I got to find out what was the name of this guy.
Kevin Rex McElroy.
Kev, is that really his name?
Yeah.
That's a song. Kevin Rex McElroy. Oh, look, first thing that came up.
There it is.
The town bully. Unsolved. It's unsolved still.
See?
So I guess he's not coming on the show.
Nope. All right, that's 4 years ago.
Wow.
That was a lot. There he is.
Oh, what's the first question? What happened to his wife?
Oh.
She died apparently of cancer.
She's probably happy to see him go. Okay.
Wow, this is
All right, James.
now I know why people like true crime.
Is this a true crime show? No, James,
Okay,
this is not.
Stop. That's right. Let it go. All right, so that was very interesting, and you didn't do any of the programming for this. We don't know what's on TV.
It's the same stuff, James.
Really?
Really nothing new
Nothing's
ever
changing?
comes up.
Well, back then, if I recall, they're not going to change. This is summer reruns at this point, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
So really, we don't need to look in this until we get back in September.
Do you know what the #1 song was, though? That I do know.
I love a rainy night. I'm always going to say that.
No, Kim Carnes, again.
Oh, Betty Davis.
Correct. And I think it's going to be there. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't. Why? How would I know
That's
if
right.
it's going to be there for a while? It just
Yeah.
seems like a good song.
Yes.
Oh, did you see? Did you see that Indiana Jones? What was that movie called that came out that we were going to go see? The Raiders of the Lost
Invaders of the
Invaders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, Invaders of the Lost Ark.
What'd you think? Let's see. Was it good?
I liked the when the people melted. That was good.
That was good. All right. Is Raiders of the Lost Ark was that a good movie? Yeah.
Yes, it was good. Yeah, I hope they make a sequel.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Because sequels are always better.
Yes, they're always better. I mean, I don't know where you go from there. They found the Ark of the whatever.
they didn't
The
understand.
The Ark of the Fellowship.
Yeah, they were like Peter Jackson with the high. They didn't realize you just have to end it a third. They just stretch it.
Right.
Yeah, they find the Ark at the end. What are you thinking?
Yeah, the first part could just been in Peru, wherever they were.
Right. Just getting there.
Right, and then they could spend all their time in Cairo. But I do recall two things of that movie. One, I got bronchitis because I wasn't feeling well. It came out. I must have not seen it in the summertime because I was sick. And the second thing, at least for my 11-year-old brain, it was like, wow, that's so deep that they're putting the Ark of the Covenant in the big warehouse. With what other secrets are in there? I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
the military. I thought that was very profound. That was very Sixth Sense, I see dead people kind of thing. It's interesting.
That would have been better. They should have gone off of the warehouse.
Right.
And stuff in there, right? All right.
Well, the idea of this was one of millions of
Right.
things.
It's just
that
nothing. Just
one of the millions of
Right.
things that they had in there.
there's like a flying saucer in there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I was like, ooh, but now I'm like, man, okay, good for them.
Right. You're older and
And I'm more cynical. So
you're like, what's his name from Christmas Story after the Dakota ring?
that's right.
All
That's right. Yeah, eat more Ovaltine.
Yeah.
With that, we're ready for Sage Advice. There's
Oh.
going to be a change to Sage Advice.
You switched things up on me, James. Okay.
I know. I like to keep you on your toes.
Now, James, this is going to be, the pressure on you is going to be a lot greater.
Yes, I feel the pressure already.
And the reason why the pressure is going to be on
But I have
you-
more time. We're actually moving forward. 8:30. This week, I'm giving myself a laugh and a clap for how good you're doing on time.
The pressure is going to be on you much more than usual for this segment because I'm switching things up, as I've warned you.
Right.
This is Dispel Confusion from...
Which you have used, I'm sorry, this is from Polyhedron, and the only reason I know this, for those longtime listeners, this was one of your first attempts at manipulating Dungeons & Dragons. Do you remember?
I do not.
With the characters, you had a multi-class character.
Oh, give me all the gold, baby.
And you laid out this argument.
Argument?
Specious argument, I think.
You mean I presented the law?
I'm not sure you presented a law. I think you presented an argument, and you used some questionable source material, like Polyhedron's canon, and then everything I've heard, and Dispel Confusion was the only official thing, and that because it was official and it was advantageous to you, that you wanted this, and I gave it to you because I'm benevolent. Yes, so I am very aware of this Dispel Confusion, but maybe our audience doesn't, so go ahead, please.
So Dispel Confusion, RPGA, this is a tennis association, isn't it? Or is it golf?
The PGA.
The RPGA, the Role Playing Game Association, which came out, I think, and I'm going to say 81 maybe, had a little... I was going to say fanzine. It's not a fanzine. You can't call it a fanzine when it's TSR.
Yeah, it's
little
a magazine, pamphlet.
Newsletter called the Polyhedron, which I think was really just trying to get the RPGA going, right? And they had a column called Dispel Confusion. And what's interesting about this, okay, ready for this, James?
Move over,
I'm going to read, this is autumn 19... Why are you getting so close?
Because I'm not in the screen,
This
that's
is
why.
autumn 1981. I will read this to you. Ready for this, James? Because here's where the controversy starts. This column will contain official, that's in caps.
Wow.
Right? Answers to your AD&D rules questions. Okay. Excerpts from TSR Hobbies Inc. are consulted, providing the answers to questions from you. In the last issue, we dealt with some very general questions. This time, we're a lot more specific.
Okay.
Ever wonder how long paralysis lasts? Or whether strength bonuses apply to certain missiles? The answers to these and other questions have been provided by the Grand Master of Dragons himself, E. Gary Gygax.
Okay.
That's right. These answers are from Gary. So get out your pens and note the details right in your books or clip this page, as well as other Dispel Confusion columns, and keep them with you, keep them with your other AD&D materials. So James, these are by Gary. So do you feel these answers are Gary?
I'm sorry. Who actually wrote the article? Is it ephemeral?
It's the game. The Game Wizards.
Game Wizards. So it's by per curiam, perineum per curiam.
It's Ernie.
No, it doesn't say. It says no. The Game Wizards are the ones who wrote this, and they're claiming that Gary Gygax.
Oh, you're saying this is hearsay? They're recording an out-of-court statement, like they're saying the Game Wizards are saying what Gary said.
Right.
So you're like, this is hearsay. We don't actually know.
Right. There's not a statement from Gary saying that it's that.
It's not by Gary.
Correct.
The Game Wizards saying what Gary
There is
said.
an attribution here, isn't that correct? There is an attribution. It's not Gary Gygax. Unless somewhere there's a reference that Gary Gygax is the only, then it would be the Game Wizard. There are other wizards.
Objection, the attorney is testifying. Do you have a question?
I don't have a question. I'm making statements.
You're badgering the witness.
This is a combative witness, Your Honor.
You're badgering the witness. You're out of order. You're out of order. Okay.
I want a mistrial. I don't know.
All right. None of what you said changes the fact that you should feel great pressure. Are you ready, James?
Yes.
To dispel
So
confusion.
I just want to, this is dispelling confusion. So a bunch of random people who were passed by Gary's office is now proclaiming certain facts of D&D. Got it.
Okay, here we go. You ready? Question number 1. These are official, James.
Right.
I would say these are official, because assuming they actually did come from Gary, I would say these are official.
I'm fine with it.
Can TSR tell us what makes something official? That TSR says it, or that Gary says it?
Well, what time of year is it? When in 1981,
Winter?
they're both the same.
Winter? You mean like what season?
No, I mean it's 1981. If it's 1981, they are one and the same. But if it's 1980,
oh no! Wait, come on. Well, you don't believe that for a second, do you? The next one is going to be answered by, it could be anybody. If it's not Gary, TSR, people. Are you saying Gary delegates canonical decisions to?
Actually, I'm saying the opposite. Is that TSR at that point in 1981 was Gary.
But he's not the one necessarily speaking.
That's true.
Only if Gary gives an answer. I'm considering it official if Gary says it. Here we go. Unless it was like 30 years later.
Okay.
Question number 1. do strength bonuses apply when using Vorpal or sharpness swords? Now, don't answer this yet. The DMG seems to suggest that they don't. Where is this, James? Why would they not apply? What's in the DMG suggesting that strength bonuses would not apply to Vorpal or sharpness swords? That seems crazy.
Well, I think they're talking about for the chance of lopping off a body part.
Oh, we've had this conversation before, actually, haven't we?
We've talked about the sort of sharpness.
Oh, that's what he means, because that's what the writer means. They must.
Yes, because it says on a 19 or 20, or whatever it is, 17, depending on if it's a Vorpal blade or a sharpness, some body part gets chopped off. So you're going to look it up.
We've actually
I
had
can't look it up because I'm the witness. I'm the one being interrogated.
No, you're entitled. No, because you're giving an opinion based upon the books.
Oh,
This is not like a quiz, right?
Yeah.
So the Sword of Sharpness is a weapon which is treated as +3 or better for purposes of who or what can be hit by it, even though it gets only +1 bonus to hit and on damage. Oh, so in other words, if you're an undead and you can only be hit by +3 or better, I can hit you with
Usually
Sword of Sharpness.
a deity or a golem or something like that.
Right. But I can get hit, okay, but it's +1 bonus
hit, yeah.
and damage. Its power is great, however, for on a very high to hit die roll, as shown below, it will sever an extremity determined by random result. Oh, and there it is, 1920. Oh, well, clearly, we've had this conversation.
There's an asterisk.
It hurts my head. Considers only the sword's bonus of +1.
Right, so considers, does that mean that it's
Yeah.
only factoring in the +1 and that's all you should do? Or is it only the +1 and if you have other modifiers you could use them as well?
So if you're only considering the +1, does that actually mean then, so that means an 18 through 20 would do, unmodified would get the normal armored?
Right.
And then that would be a 19 to 20 for larger than man size, and solid metal or stone.
You'd have to roll a 20.
I think you would not include this. Oh, sorry. You're the witness. I'm sorry. James, what? And the Vorpal weapon probably has
It's
the
right
same
here.
business. Oh, thank you.
Conveniently located right next underneath it.
Oh, look, they're fighting a big. I wonder why they have a fight with a worm there. Okay, Vorpal weapon. What was it like a?
Go ahead.
I mean, is it a sword of sharpness or Vorpal weapon? Is that what you must be using?
Better, larger than man size, you better use something big or else you're dead with the purple worm. So the question then is, do these numbers change based on the strength bonus?
Okay, so what do you do? Okay, so do you get the +3 on the Vorpal weapon? It's similar but superior. Oh, is +3 to hit and damage bonus? Oh, is there an asterisk? There is. Oh, but it considers the +3. So okay. Oh, so the Vorpal weapon is just like a better sort of sharpness.
Right. Well, and it only does one thing. The Vorpal weapon only severs the head.
Oh,
It
okay.
does. This is Monty Python.
Oh.
With the knight.
Oh, so in other words, you could get the arm.
The arm and the leg.
So
yeah.
it's not as good because
Right.
I just cut off an arm.
Right.
Oh, so this one is better. Vorpal's better because it's easier to sever, and you also sever
If
the
it
head.
has a head or a neck, it's gone if you make a hit.
Does that worm have a head? So would you
has a
cut the
head.
head so like he would, if he got the hit, he would cut the.
Yeah, I would say so. It's like the snake when Conan defeated the snake. Remember in Barbarian, the movie, right? He chopped his head off.
I didn't see him.
You did not see,
No.
You've never seen Conan the...
No, but you know what was really funny? Was that kindergarten cop. Remember that? Yes. It was funny. It's
You've
not
never
a tumor.
seen Conan... I mean, there's not a lot of good fantasy movies, and some would argue that one's okay. But you've never seen that?
Do you remember when he said that's not a tumor?
Yes, not the tumor.
That was good, right?
That's right. Get in the chopper. Yes.
They were all bad. Wait, that was a different show. They're all bad. Do you kill people? Yes, but they were all bad.
They're all bad.
That was different.
Yes.
That was with Jamie Lee Curtis.
True Lies.
Right, where she switched bodies with that young girl.
That's
that
Freaky
Lohan girl.
Friday.
Okay.
That's a different... I think you're mashing up.
Is
Okay.
Kevin Bacon close
Somewhere,
by?
6 degrees.
Okay.
Anyhow,
So
my answer is no, it does not include. For the purposes of severing, it does not include. For the purpose of hitting, it does include.
the answer is, with capital letters, no.
So I'm right.
Gary's screaming.
He's angry.
He is angry. Angry Gary. No, they do not, for purposes of determining the special effects of each. The magic which gives them their special powers cannot be affected by strength or magical bonuses, other than that contained in the sword itself. However, if the roll is low enough not to trigger the special function, then all other bonuses are added to determine to hit and damage. Okay, so it's like a to hit.
So I literally said the same thing.
You're like Gary.
Well.
He's like, that's a good look. Yeah.
He's looking at me.
He's like, okay, kid.
Approvingly. I got one down.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll see how you. All right. Question number 2.
How many questions are we doing? Just so I can.
2, 3, 4, 5.
We're doing all.
Only 8. Let's go fast.
Okay, quick.
Let's go fast. Would an amulet of life protection guard against the void in a deck of many things? I don't know what an amulet of life protection is. I don't know what a deck of many things is. And I don't know what the void is. I hope you do.
So,
Would an amulet of life protection? I feel like this is like. I feel like you're taking an exam.
yeah, this is like the certified dungeon master.
I was cruel. I pulled out the hard ones for you. This is like you're taking. It's like an oral exam at the end of.
So
back to
the
school.
void is a card in the deck of many things. I think
Oh.
it traps you into some interdimensional space. If I
Wait,
remember
so
correctly.
I'm looking at the deck of many things, and I
Yeah.
pull out this card.
Well, if you're dumb enough to look at the deck of many things, you're supposed to draw one off the top, and as you draw, you can decide how many cards you're going to draw, and then it's revealed. And it's a crapshoot, and usually not in your favor. The deck of many things.
So so you've drawn the void. So this void sounds bad, and so the question is: would the amulet of life protection protect you from a void card? James, what do you think?
So the problem is amulet of life protection. I think.
Well, you can look these up.
Well, I don't
we do.
remember the amulet of life protection.
Well, let's get that up. Let's look it up, because you would have access to your books, because these are basically interpretations. You're turning and flipping. You're flipping and turning. You're going to miscellaneous magic, or is it already? It's probably
no. It's under amulet. Oh yeah, miscellaneous magic.
Probably you're on miscellaneous.
There it is, life protection. On page 137. This pendant or brooch device serves as a ward for the psyche's soul. The wearer cannot be possessed by magic or spell, mental attack, including demonic or diabolic means. If the wearer is slain, the psyche enters the amulet and is protected for 7 full days. That's interesting.
Can I be protected from charm? You think?
Yes. Well, it says magic jar, not charm, or similar mental attack. Well, that's an interesting question.
That's a different question, though.
Am I now having to do extrapolated questions now, too?
No.
So
That's for extra credit.
Yeah, let's go to the deck of many things real quick. The void. Body functions, but soul is trapped elsewhere.
Oh,
That's
wait,
the
so
void.
oh my gosh, your soul goes somewhere else?
Yes.
Wait, what do you mean a body functions? But my soul is trapped somewhere else?
Yes.
What happens to me?
I don't know. You have to figure it out.
That's another. You're not
The void
curious?
here, the void.
Oh.
The lightless black plague spells instant disaster. The character's body functions. He or she speaks like an automaton, but the psyche is trapped in a prison somewhere. I think that's what I said. An object of a planet or plane, possibly the possession of a demon. A wish will not bring the character back, but the plane of entrapment might be revealed.
It sounds almost like I'm undead, kind of.
Yeah, like you're
So
a
my soul's-
Stepford wife.
So I'm just walking around like I talk. So I come home one day, I'm like,
We wouldn't notice any
"Hi."
difference.
Save me, James. I got the void. I'm in the void. That's a terrible card. I don't like that card,
That's
James.
right. Well, that's the problem. There's some awesome cards, and then there's a lot of horrible cards, and that's wwhy people don't. We went over the deck of many things.
That thing's oh, look, it's got. Why is it? It's in bold, James.
Upon drawing the last plaque possible, or immediately upon drawing the plaques in boldface, the deck disappears. That's
Oh, so that's like an ends.
Yeah.
So like you could buy this. So you could buy this at like a toy store, like a little deck of anything, like little instructions.
Sure.
If you draw one of these cards, the game's over.
The game's over. So with that, with understanding these things, I'm going to say.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Do you think online we can buy a deck of many things somewhere? Like, did anyone make that up?
Oh,
like,
they have. There's.
we have to like do it. We have to like do a
It's-
shuffle
it's
once a day. That's a segment.
It's a classic thing. It's been in every edition.
I will find it, and this will be a segment.
Okay.
Don't you think?
I like it. You're going to buy a deck of many things, and this will be a segment. It's going to be a sad segment. But yes, they're out there.
Okay.
I'm sure. Or you'll have to make one.
Okay. So now, so
Because you don't. I mean, by the way, just for those keeping home, you do not have to buy a special deck of many things. It has. You can use your playing cards because it has in
no,
here.
I need a special one.
See how it says the King
Oh.
of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds. You have to convert these.
I'd never used that before. That's a lot of fun.
And you know where spoiler alert for those who, if in Bone Hill there is a deck of many things, if I remember correctly. It's hard to get to. It's in the Wizard's Tower, but
Sounds like I don't want to get to it. Okay. So
I think that's what we're going to do. Yes, that's what we're going to do.
you've drawn a void card, James, and you are wearing an amulet of life protection. So the question is, should you go into if you're going to draw a card from the deck of many things, should you have an amulet of life protection on you to protect you from?
I'm gonna say I feel like it should work, but it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna say no, it doesn't work.
You know you're Gary, James. The answer is no.
Because the void is like the biggest screw job you can get. So
James, you're like Gary Jr. The power of the deck far exceeds that of the amulet. That's what you basically just said.
Right.
The void would do two things: place the psyche into the amulet normally, and then place the amulet on a far planet or plane. The amulet goes. You go
Wow.
into the amulet, and the amulet goes.
disappears. Wow, that's it. I didn't think of that. That's a good one.
Oh, that's good. This is Gary. You know why you know this is? I'm telling. Okay, I know you were
There's just
suspicious.
capitalizations.
There's
Yeah.
capitals. He's yelling, and he is like speaking with certainty. Remember, like some of the sage advice is like, well,
Right, yeah,
maybe and perhaps, a lot of waffling.
Right.
None of that. No equivocating here, sir. Okay, you ready? You're doing great. Now it's going to get. Okay. I'm glad we did this, James, because look, if this is Gary, we actually have an answer. Everyone debates this, but this is Gary speaking. Ready? Mm-hmm. How long does or should paralysis caused by a carrion crawler last? Now, the problem I've got is, why did the writer just say carrion crawler? Why didn't the writer... Yes, not also ghouls, so we have an answer to this. So right off the bat, because anything that isn't answering the question, you know what it is, James? It's dictum.
Dictum.
Not binding, because it's not responsive to the question.
Right.
All right.
Thank you for that.
And what, if any, are the effects of multiple hits by this creature? Okay.
Okay, so this is. I have to answer this now.
Have you seen the show?
That's right. Am I avoiding? Right?
This is a toughie. You're going to be angry at me. Oh, I'm scared about next show.
No, I'm not. That's fine. This is good stuff.
Oh.
So I'm going to say, even though I think in other places,
Like the monster card and Hamlet.
I'm going to say the effect is permanent. He's going to say, and because it's permanent, the multiple things don't matter because it's permanent, unless remove paralysis or something else comes.
Okay. I'm sorry, James.
That's fine.
Paralysis from creatures. See, this is what's interesting.
Oh, wait a minute. He changed the answer.
Wait, what? It says,
supposed
how
to-
long does paralysis caused
On
by
a carrion crawler.
No, caused by.
Caused by, yeah.
Yeah.
Paralysis caused by a carrion crawler. Now he's answering for creatures, which is a different answer.
Exactly. This is the controversy, James. That's why I brought up the dictum issue. So what do we do with this, James? Is this for creatures? This is Gary saying this, though.
Yeah, well,
But Gary said it.
Yeah, I understand, but that's still lame. He should. I thought it was specific to carrion
No,
crawlers.
it's not lame, because you know what Gary's saying? The question's lame. Why did that knucklehead just say carrion crawlers?
Right. Well, he's a poor child somewhere who's reading this magazine and figured to answer questions.
Gary's going to take advantage of the situation and
Yes.
provide an answer. It says creatures. This is a big deal, Gary. This is a big deal,
Thanks.
James. Yeah, right. I confuse it. Paralysis from creatures. A ghoul's a creature.
Yes.
Right? Lasts as long as paralysis from a wand.
Okay.
5d4. 5 to 20 rounds. DMG, page 136. Multiple hits from a carrion crawler, open friend, or any other paralyzing creature forces multiple saving throws on the part of the victim. When anyone has failed, the other hits have no further effect on the paralysis. Well, wait.
Then why do that?
What if your paralysis isn't ended? So if it's right before it's about to expire, and I hit you again, it doesn't do anything. But if I wait, it restarts a renewal.
That's what I understood that to be.
James, I'm prepared to say that we have an official answer, not just because it's dispel confusion, polyhedron, but because it's Gary, 5d4 on ghouls and carrion crawlers.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay? Okay.
But you have to tell the gibbering mouther. You don't have to tell me.
All right. All right, send it in.
How do you send in an assertion? Because we only.
He accused me of that last time.
Really?
Had you read that?
No, I didn't see that yet.
Did you see the length of my questions?
No, I didn't.
They were enormous, James.
I don't read the gibbering mouther because I know you ask questions and I just can't.
You can't get enough of me.
Well, and also Rob is coming on. I figured we'd wait for 9 more minutes. We could talk about that, but I guess you're going to talk about it now. Yeah, it's just look at these. Is this one of yours?
Huh? These are my questions.
Right.
They're enormous. Look what he says there. We note, first of all, that you're not asking a question so much as making an argument in favor of your preferred answer.
See?
I like confirmation. All right. Can a creature... Oh, we've talked about this before, James. And you should know this answer. Can a creature with a gaze weapon attack more than one target per round? Also, is it possible to use both the gaze weapon and natural or melee weapons in the same round?
So the first one is, can a gaze attack be used on more than one creature?
Per round, correct.
I feel like the answer is no, but I'm going to be wrong. I think that, because again, then it's just terrible if you can do multiple attacks. So I'm going to say no. And then the second one is yes, they can do a gaze attack and the other thing.
I answer, a gaze weapon will only affect one victim per round.
Yay.
But this attack form is in addition to any other attacks given. A basilisk, for example, can gaze and then bite in the same round.
Yay, look at me.
You're 3 out of 4. You're doing great.
I got a C.
Yeah, it's all right, but there's more questions left.
Oh, okay.
If a character using a weapon requiring 3 feet or more of space, this is one that you like, James. This is right up your alley. You've talked about this. Is standing next to other characters using weapons requiring the same amount of space, how many may occupy a 10-foot wide hallway and still attack at no penalty? This is an exam.
Yeah, this is if Timmy eats 3 donuts and then gets on a train to Denver at 3:57.
That's exactly.
What time will he arrive in Albuquerque?
That's exactly this. So what do you say, James?
I would say 3 people can be in the space.
If a character using a weapon requiring 3 feet or more space is standing next to other characters using... I feel like I'm looking it up in the back of the book. You know, you go to the back of the math book for the answer.
And someone's ripped the page out.
Yeah, like, where's the answer?
Either the teacher did it or the last idiot who had the book.
Well, you shouldn't have bought a used book, James. Why are your parents so poor? Is standing Ooh.
I didn't... Well, first of all, that's ooh. And second of all, this is a public book. When I go to school, you didn't have... They didn't give you public math books in high school?
They would assign you the book, wouldn't they?
Right.
And have all the names? Yes. If a character using a weapon requiring 3 feet or more space is standing next to other characters using weapons requiring the same amount of space... Oh, I'm reading the question. Answer, only 2.
Only 2.
Whoa, James. Remember, James...
Which is normally what we do. We only have 2 players, but I figured I'd do 3.
Well, you didn't remember that human-sized characters occupy about 3 feet of space themselves.
Right.
You just had the weapons going alone. Plus the given amounts of space for using the weapon. So... No, there it is. Okay.
I was hoping for people to have 3 abreast, but typically we put one person in a 5-foot square, like on our little map here. So yes.
Right, but then it's fine. But then it's plus the 3. It's all waving around.
Yeah.
So basically, don't tell them and just say, okay, you just hit your friend.
Or we ignore weapon speed and weapon length, and we just say whatever. No one cares.
Oh, you're right. And encumbrance. In TSR's D&D module B2.
Ooh. Okay,
yeah.
B2.
Keep on the Borderlands, right?
Which is technically D&D, not AD&D, but okay.
That's true.
Is this about AD&D or is this about D&D?
It says AD&D rules questions. You're right, James.
The fact that this is in here, I'm putting aspersion to the whole premise of this. This is definitely calls into question the whole veracity of these arguments here.
Well, maybe
Your Honor, mistrial.
Well, maybe that's what Gary will say.
Okay, I hope so.
Let's find out. In TSR's D&D Module B2,
I'm answering this in protest.
Yes, you're preserving it for appeal. Mm-hmm. Okay. Several monsters are equipped with amulets of protection from good.
Yes.
Which cause them to be treated as undead of the next
level.
Higher level. That's right. Would the reverse of the first level clerical spell, protection from evil, enable undead to perform in a similar manner? Okay, so what's happening here, James? I'm sorry, I've gotten confused. So there's these amulets of protection from good.
Right, in the Temple of Evil, or whatever it is, Chaos, excuse me.
Right.
There's no evil, there's Temple of Chaos.
That was the very first one, right? That's the very first one you go into?
That's the first one you're supposed to go into, yes.
Right.
Go into there.
Always go to the back
first.
first.
Go to the back first.
Yes.
The skeletons, if you remember, or the zombies have these things that cause the cleric to turn at a higher... They are treated as a higher level undead.
That's very cool. Now, this does not exist in the DMG, does it?
No.
But it could as just a...
It also, I don't think it exists as a magic item in Basic. He made it up, which was a kind of an example of, hey, you can make up your own magic items.
Okay, so there's a lesson for the kids. Would the reverse of the first level clerical spell, protection from evil, so protection good, Oh, enable undead. Oh, so if I cast, I guess you can cast, the cleric can cast that on another person, I guess. So I can cast the reverse. So I'm an EHP, evil high priest.
Right, or an evil cleric. You don't even have to be a high priest.
Well, I think that's okay. I don't. I just use that. I throw that around.
You're an evil acolyte, or an evil acolyte or higher, because an acolyte is capable of casting protection from
The evil acolytes.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it? The evil
Yeah.
acolytes. So the evil
You're
acolyte.
going to open for pseudo undead.
They are. The evil acolyte casts the reverse.
You're like lesser evil. That's what's good about it too.
Lesser Evil. That's their first album. Lesser Evil. Okay.
So I gotta write this down. Just go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so right, so the evil acolyte, so he's like evil in training.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to
Evil in
be
training.
evil. I'm learning to be evil.
That's I think I've seen like the baby ones. The baby onesies that people get. And Evil in training. That's what we need to sell.
That's right for the league. So they're like you're at school. You're at the Hogwarts. Oh, what are you learning? Like, oh yeah, I learn to be evil.
Be evil in training.
Oh, how's that going?
The
Evil in
evil
training?
acolyte. What do we say? Evil acolytes. And lesser evil.
So it wouldn't be like defense of the dark arts. It's like the dark arts.
That's right.
Like, are you doing defense? What are you going to take? Defense? Like, what's your major? Well, evil. Oh, so I need to take... Oh, you don't want to take defense. No. You're in the wrong room.
Right.
You're supposed to be dark.
Well, it's very Sun Tzu. Know thy enemy, know thyself, I guess, is the idea of that. If you take defense in the dark.
That's true. Hey, that guy's evil. What's he doing here?
Shut up.
Shut up. I know that guy. He told me he was hitting on me. He told me his major was evil. Okay. So I want to cast a protection from good spell. Will that have the effect? Okay, so would enable the undead. So I'm going to cast it on an undead. So I'm casting this spell. So I've got my minions. So I've got my skeleton minions, and I'm evil in training, and I want to cast protection from good on them. I'm trying to. Oh, that's very interesting. So I want to raise their protection from turning. Wow, it's a great question. I'm not going to say what I think the answer is.
So I'm looking at page 44 of the Player's Handbook, Protection from Evil, and I'm looking at the reverse. The spell can be reversed to become protection from good, though it still keeps out enchanted evil creatures as well. So again, protection from whatever, evil or good, has two parts to it. One, it helps protect you against that alignment, and it also keeps at bay summoned or enchanted creatures, regardless of their alignment.
Like a blink dog. If I was like protection from good, I'm trying to think of like a summoned good creature, Chiron or something like that, or
that would
something like that. I don't know.
Windwalkers. I'm trying to think if they're good, but yes.
But none of that is indicating anything about the undead being more difficult to turn. Then, correct?
The question then is, can you cast it on something that is dead? Because it's undead.
Oh yeah, can you even cast it? That's the first question. It's not the effect, but the first question is, can you even cast it? Can you cast it upon?
It says creature touched.
Well, it's creature. What's the definition of creature? Is it undead a creature? Surely it's a creature.
Possibly.
Well, like creature feature, right? Creature. It's not there. What's a monster? It's a creature, isn't it? It's actually a definition of Monty Hall.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
A campaign in which greatly excessive amounts of treasure it's hilarious. Monster, for game purposes, any potentially threatening creature. Well, yeah, that's so. Yeah.
It's a creature.
Man or beast. Oh, is it man or beast?
Right.
Is undead a beast?
That's the.
It is. We're really. James, you're always parsing words on this show.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to say no, it doesn't work.
Because you can't even cast it on it.
You can't even cast it on.
And even if you did cast it on it, it doesn't say it would have that effect.
That's right.
Okay. Answer. The amulets in question are magic items created by a difficult and expensive process. The spell would not, in caps, have the same effect, and wearing more than one amulet will have the same effect as wearing more than one ring of protection. Only one will apply. But what's interesting is Gary didn't say you can't cast it on that spell on undead. He didn't say that.
Right.
So he didn't comment on. Okay. All right. Ready? Only two more. This is good.
Two more. Okay.
Can something which may only be struck by silver or +1 or better weapons be affected by non-magical area of effects, such as fire, gas, acid, and the like?
Yes.
Furthermore, would a magical attack without pluses, such as fireball, lightning bolt, or stinking cloud, affect such a creature? Are they immune to and 3, are they immune to gaze attacks?
They're yes, no.
Oh, so yes, they can be affected by the lightning bolt, fireball, sting cloud. Okay.
Yes, they can be affected by area effect, and no, they're not immune from gaze attacks unless they have some specific reason why they.
So the yes, no is actually like basically all the same. All those things will work on you.
Right.
Okay. Answer. Read the description literally.
That's good. Whatever.
You like the scary guy, don't
That's
you?
right.
He's more your style. This is more.
Get off my lawn.
See,
Gary.
you're liking this better than sage advice.
that's right.
This is more your tone.
Yeah.
Read the description literally.
RTFM.
What does that mean?
Read the effing manual.
I love it. That's a short. They are affected by those weapons in caps only, but the restriction does not apply to other attack forms. Unless specified otherwise, the other attack forms will do normal damage. Magical attacks will affect the victim normally, including gaze weapons.
So I'm right.
You're right. Well, last one. You're almost done, James, with the exam. You might be close to getting a B, a high B. You're in the B range.
Well, wait a minute. How many have I answered?
6 out of 7, I think.
6 out of 7.
All right, what's 7 out of 8? Is that an A? 90%?
It's almost. Yeah, it's a B.
But if it's a high B, you could it's early in the semester.
87.5.
So that's a B, like a B, maybe a B+.
Strong B. Yeah.
Well, you haven't gotten this one right yet. You're going to drop down to a C. This is between a B and a C. Do strength bonuses apply to hand? What I like about it is like to get one right, you have to get all subparts. There's like 3 subparts.
Right, exactly.
You really have gotten you've gotten an A actually. Do strength bonuses apply to hand-hurled missiles? And are strength bonuses cumulative with dexterity bonuses to hit? Okay, so the first one, do strength bonuses apply to hand-hurled missiles?
They can if the weapon is fashioned for it.
Oh my, really? I was going to say no. Okay.
That's my understanding.
And are strength bonuses cumulative with dexterity bonuses?
Well,
there's no...
They're not supposed to, but I think people have read it and they've tried
I
to
think
do
they're
it.
all no's. Okay. The bonuses do apply at any range and are cumulative. Do strength bonuses apply to hand-hurled missiles? So wait. Oh, so they don't apply to an arrow, a bow. If I've got a bow.
Well, they do. But you have to build a certain weapon.
Strength
you have
bow?
to build a strength bow, the infamous strength bow.
But so if I don't have a strength bow.
Well, I don't allow cumulative. I just allow one of the. If you do not have a weapon that takes advantage of the exceptional strength, then the answer is no. Well, when I mean exceptional strength, that you get a bonus, 7, 16 or above.
Oh, but so if I'm throwing a dagger.
If you're throwing a dagger and it's not meant for throwing, it's not a throwing dagger that takes advantage of your strength, you only get your dex bonus to hit.
Okay, well, where are you getting that from? Because this
From
is
the Dungeon Master's Guide.
This just says hand-hurled missiles.
That's the same thing. The dagger is a handheld missile. He didn't ask about arrows. He was asking about handheld missiles.
Oh, I agree with that. Hand-hurled. So hand-hurled. So any hand-hurled.
Yeah.
What if I'm just throwing something? Like a pan.
I'm recalling from memory my understanding. I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
So you keep going. Oh, so how many? So what was the whole answer there? I apologize.
The bonuses do apply at any range.
For both?
Yes, and are cumulative. It just says do strength bonuses.
Okay. So I got half right.
Well, what are you doing? This just asks about hand-hurled missiles.
Right, but there's under here somewhere. There's a weird statement. I forgot what page. Because I'm looking for it, of course. Strength bonus considerations.
What page are you on, sir?
Page 64.
Of the DMG.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
The strength bonus for hitting and damage does not apply to missile weapons unless the character so entitled specifically takes steps to equip himself or herself with special weapons to take advantage of the additional strength. This will result in a weapon having additional chance to hit and do damage as well. In no event will this will add the effective range of the character weapon. Thus, the character will employ a heavier missile or more powerful bow and heavier arrows or larger sling missiles to gain advantage of strength. To do so, he must attain a special weapon or weapons and within the realm of your adjudication DM2 as to where and how it will be obtained and how much the cost will be involved.
So the distinction is between... So the reason why the answer in Polyhedron was different is because it was dealing with hand-hurled missiles, like a dagger, a spear. You would get your strength bonus for those, but if it is for not hand-hurled, sling, bow, you only get it if you have your strength bow or strength created. Do I have that right?
No.
Oh.
That's not how...
Wait, what?
Because it's part of missile discharge. You have to go back a page. It says, the loosing of bolts, hurling of axes, hammers, javelins. It talks about all types of missile attack. Then it's specific about strength bonus considerations. Do you get that? And it's saying that does not apply to missiles, which again, you have to go back to missile discharge.
Wait, you're saying Gary blew his own question?
No, he didn't blow his own question. He said it does apply. It's to handheld missiles. That's what he's saying. Question: do strength bonuses apply to handheld missiles?
Yeah.
And are they cumulative? The first thing he said, yes, it does apply, and yes, they're cumulative. And which I agree with him on the first part. I don't like the second part because then you get these fighters with high strength and dex, and they're just like +6 to hit.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, hold on. I've gotten confused. Do strength bonuses apply to hand-hurled missiles? And it says yes.
Right.
But then on page 64, it says the strength bonus for hitting and damage does not apply to missiles unless the character so entitled specifically takes steps to equip himself with special weapons to take advantage of the additional strength.
Right, which is what I said.
Wait, so I'm confused.
It doesn't apply unless you have a special weapon.
So the polyhedron answer should have been yes if you have a special weapon?
That's my understanding.
Well, see, I think that's where there's an inconsistency. He doesn't seem to be saying that. It just says, do strength bonus apply to hand-hurled missiles? And he says they do apply. He doesn't say they do apply if you have a special weapon.
Yeah, well, we've always played it that way, and that's what makes sense here, because or else he wouldn't have had the first statement, does not apply to missiles unless the character so implied, because missiles, let's see if it's in the glossary, missiles.
No, you can look at I didn't see it.
We didn't see missile?
No.
Missile.
Wait, seriously?
Page 229.
How did I miss that?
Any weapon which is hurled or propelled towards a target includes arrows, spears, catapults, sling bullets, as well as anything flung at a target, flasks of oil, vials of holy water, etc. So reading is a challenge at this point.
The alphabet is. Oh, wait. MI comes after what? Okay.
So we have always played it, that if you buy a normal hand axe and you throw it, you only get your dex bonus. But if you somehow are, I'll use the David Thompson thing, which he loves the generic classes, and then you can specialize them with the DM's help. You're a blade master.
La. Stop it.
What?
I don't know. What's a blade man? No.
He's just making up something.
I know.
Or a pirate. You're a pirate. You want to be a pirate. There's no pirate class.
I do want to be a pirate.
And you have daggers, and you get specially made daggers that allow you to throw them with your strength bonus. That's what it would be.
I agree. We did not use to. I've always played that there's no strength bonus on. It's just the dex bonus. Okay, I don't know what to say.
So on page 64, it infers that there can be special weapons, and I've seen other people do this. DMs have done this. I've done this in the past, where you don't want to give out magic items because they're overpowered and they're expensive and people sell them. What you want to do is you give out weapons of quality, or you build that give +1 to hit because they're exceptional weapons and they cost a lot more money. And that's kind of the baby step before you give out real magic items.
Do you know, if you look up, I believe, like armorer, where you hire these hirelings or people to make stuff for you, It talks about elves that they make the best chainmail, and that's probably where this elven chainmail business came from. Okay. I'm still.
But they won't sell it to people. That's per the DM. That's elven chainmail will not be sold to that.
I'm still troubled by this answer, though. I'm telling you, Gary didn't. Gary, why would Gary not have mentioned that? Unless Unless there was a second page, and I missed it. Because look, it just kind of ends there. Maybe on page 4.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe there was a page 4, and he says, "Well,
You'll
of
have to go
course."
back.
Whatever. All right.
You will have to go back, but the point of all this is...
What is the point?
The point of all this is when you know if someone's a DM or not. Because without being a DM, you wouldn't have this information. Hold on. Why is this not playing? Hold on, sir. So, actually, now we can bring in our dear friend... Mr. Ritchie on, which we'll put him on as soon as I find him. All right, on. We gotta put our cans on. All right, making him bigger. 3, 2, 1. So, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Rob Ritchie the Tim Kask of our happy world. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've been listening with interest as you go through that old and basically you know apocryphal document called the Polyhedron.
Yes, it is. It's basically the Vulgate of.
It's exactly what it is. It's
Where is the Council of Nicaea for D&D when this heretical stuff was purged and we just have
we just have to remember we remember the time we're talking about. Gary was in Los Angeles making cartoons at this time, and they'd send him a letter and he would dash something off quickly, probably dictating it to one of his many secretaries who no doubt made mistakes.
It may have been Ernie that actually was answering.
Yeah, it's right. Could be Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That is exactly right. We don't know that for a fact that it was EGG. Does Ernie's middle name?
Yeah, I'm wearing my the proper shirt here.
Yes, two people got the memo.
Yeah. I didn't realize he'd be wearing it up until the con.
Well,
Literally,
Dan,
we're trying to. This is all a big merchandising deal, so we're trying to sell these things.
Well, Dan, is that? What's that logo you have on your shirt that clearly you've gotten a payment by a different?
Yes.
He's sponsored by.
It's a unicorn.
Oh, okay.
He's sponsored by that other company.
Flying Unicorn.
Flying. So, how was your trip, real quick?
Oh, great, guys! I was on a 10-day trip through the South and the Midwest.
Like Sherman.
My trunk, and in reverse, my trunk full of D&D manuals, attempting to get them back to their rightful owners, but luckily or unluckily, I didn't find any takers. So I came back with as many as I left with.
And Don, and you had a good trip?
Yes, we did. We spent a nice 4th of July with relatives, and I saw a concert. And there were fireflies in the woods, which are fairly rare in Central Florida, but they were there in thousands and thousands at night. It was wonderful.
So we have Rob on because he just recently launched issue 4 of Flipping and Turning, which I have a little screenshot of, and Dan has the official hardcover copy, limited edition. Right? It's limited because you've touched it.
Exactly.
And it's out of the bag. So
it's completely its value has dropped to nothing, except that it now contains
DNA.
Dan Gormansky DNA. Yeah, that's true. So it could be.
You know, there's a Delta variant flying around.
That's
You're coughing.
True. Sorry.
I mean, what?
Sorry.
I should. You know, we're gonna have to start masking again next.
Probably are.
Plexiglass.
Yes, a bubble. I'll be the bubble boy.
So, we wanted to have Rob on to congratulate him. Congratulations on another crowning achievement. Every time you produce one of these, I feel like you outdo yourself. So
well, it's my contributors that are outdoing themselves. This is a real group effort. I mean, people literally all over the world are helping me with proofreading and editing and sending in great content and artwork. All I do, it's easy for me. I just put it together, shake it up a little bit, and send it out.
So while we have you on, I also, since you're here, you can also, we do have to do random encounter. So we want to talk about why don't you give us the highlights of what people can expect
in issue number 4? Well, I think the most important thing to remember about issue number 4 is the contribution of it's really hard to come back to this to get around the fact that Lou Pulsifer, the famous Lou Pulsifer, has given us the permission to reprint his infamous Necromancer character class that originally was in White Dwarf all those years ago, and which basically almost brought the end of D&D because of how, well, let's just say it was controversial.
Right.
Lou was kind enough several months ago to ask us if we wanted to publish any of his old stuff, and the Grog Emperors told me, I argued against it strenuously, but the Grog Emperors ordered me to publish the Necromancer, and here it is, essentially exactly as it appeared in the original magazine, except for some very minor editing by the author to for some. Ironically, he didn't cut out any of the human sacrifice or the horrifying abilities of the Necromancer. He went through to make sure that the language was more inclusive, so that it didn't just speak of necromancers as being male, but also opening the obvious circumstance that necromancers could also be female or non-binary individuals.
But,
so the necromancer is clearly anyone can be a creep, and he wanted to be sure that was understood.
But it's still only female virgins, I believe, that have to be sacrificed.
Well, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to tread into that particular minefield. I'm merely presented the data in a table, and what people can extrapolate as necessary from there.
Well, no, wait. No, wait. No, some of it does say human virgin. So it is a female human. Then it is just a human virgin. But then it is a human mother pregnant. So are you suggesting that you are offering him an opportunity to revise this, expecting that it would be somehow, its evilness reduced, and that didn't happen?
I wouldn't say that at all. I think Lou is very committed to the evilness of this character and this character class. I'm sorry, NPC class.
Right.
He's very committed to that, and as a consequence, well, when he said he wanted to do editing, he told me very clearly that all he was going to do was kind of make sure that polish it up a little bit. And that's exactly what it is. Am I up? Yeah.
I was going to say, he did indicate clearly this time that it is an NPC character class, which of course is one of the things that caused, actually the thing that caused the controversy.
Well, it was also his last note, which you wrote about also in the article. This issue has more text and more articles than any of the prior ones. It's still at the same page count, but so many people contributed information here that there's actually a little less artwork than there was in prior ones. But we have the Lehman Files, which has Len Lakofka's stuff.
Hold on.
Is that Lou?
Hold
is
on.
That the
I'm asking if maybe Lou's calling in.
No.
Oh, that's too bad. That would be tremendous.
Well, keep going, Rob. Apparently, he's got some other appointments.
Checking my phone.
He's reserving a lunch date for.
Yeah, this can't last forever. Right. The Gibbering Mouther, of course, answers Dan's questions, of which he was flooded the mailbox with.
I'm sorry, Rob. Could you spend a couple of minutes on the Gibbering Mouther, because how that process works? Because you did mention what I think is an obvious fact, looking over, that there seems to be a preponderance of long-winded, rambling questions.
They're being masked as questions. I got to get this phone out of here. Being masked as questions. They're basically assertions, arguments.
Well, that happens quite a bit.
Manifestos. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is amazing how often people, they don't just step humbly up to the Gibbering Mouther and ask a question. They are clearly making their argument, and I think and the Gibbering Mouther has made it clear that that's wasted effort. So during the editing process, some of that gets removed, and some of it gets kept in if the gibbering mouther wants to make a point
So
about
these are the
it.
short questions.
Well, I don't know why you're upset with me, Jay. I clearly see a question that's been asked by you. You see this? This clearly was you.
Science Central Florida morons.
How do you pronounce the word?
Gibbering?
That was you, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm clearly a moron.
And what was the answer?
Just like it's spelled, you morons.
Exactly. So
Well, it's not gibberish.
it's not gibberish. It's gibbering.
So there have been some questions about the gibbering mouther lately. So I will just say that the gibbering mouther is under contract to it serves at the pleasure of the Grog Emperors and can be dismissed at any time.
Now, there's been a lot of controversy, if I understand it, as to who is, in fact, as the identity of the gibbering. I've heard people, there's been speculation it's Skip Williams. There's been speculation it's you, Rob, that it's us. There's been speculation that it's Ernie Gygax.
Gygax.
Gary Gygax. Strangely, Gary Gygax. Errol Otis's name has been thrown out there. But you're not disclosing who it is. Is that correct?
Well, the gibbering mouther is a horrifying, abominable, jelly-like thing with multiple mouths that lives down in the bottom of the dungeon.
So it's James.
I frankly haven't gotten close enough. Yeah, it might be James. I haven't gotten close enough to identify. The gibbering mouth, and he and or she, they, multiple mouths, I'll say they just respond somehow digitally to these questions, submitting their answers from an unknown email address.
So if you see an audio file from the gibbering mouther saying "click here," you don't do that.
Well, only if I want to get fall asleep, I think is the results.
Yeah, something like that. Well, that's a Grog
Or
Talk.
no.
That's a Grog Talk episode if you want to fall asleep.
That is true. That's right. I think it causes confusion. So I
Also-
click on it.
Also a Grog
I
Talk
click on it. I
episode.
run around the room.
See, we're murdering.
We're murdering it. We're killing it.
it. So, Robert, we do have a question. You actually have a question online.
I do.
Yes.
What is it?
During the convention, will you have hard copies of Flipping and Turning available for purchase?
I will have hard copies.
Whatever you have left. Is that fair?
What we have yet left. Yes, there will be hard copies available. I'm going to quibble about the word purchase.
Right.
Which is
It's not a purchase. Yes, you're
it's
right.
not for purchase, but you will be making a donation, which which will offset the cost of production. And when you come to GrogCon, I will explain in greater detail why I say it that way.
Yes. Well, the short version is we're not here to make money.
Right, there's no profit. It's just reimbursement for the expense of printing.
That is correct.
That's
that
all
is
we're
correct.
doing.
Right.
And so for a little back, under the circus tent kind of sausage making, Rob, with the help of all these folks who, contribute and put a lot of work. Dan and I do a small part. Rob does 95% of it. All artists and contributors. He puts it together, and through his own time, he does not charge for that time, nor do any of us charge for the time. The only cost currently associated with Flipping and Turning is the physical copies that are printed and the shipping of those physical copies. So if we don't try to recuperate that, then that's literally coming out of Rob's pocket, or we're using patron money. And the only patron money we use for it is if you are of a high tier, a gold tier or higher, we send you a physical copy as a thank you to that. So that's full transparency of what happens here. So basically what Rob does is he figures out the cost of the batch of limited amount that he prints. We pay for the ones that are associated with the high tier members that we want to send them. And then he figures out the balance and he charges per unit what's remaining. Is that basically how it happens?
That is absolutely correct.
Oh, I see what's going on here. It's because the Ralph Lauren shirt I'm wearing. You felt the need to. There would be some people would be thinking like Dan's using patron. You're making a profit using patron money to dress.
Correct.
Okay.
Or there is this thing on YouTube where sponsored content is not declared, and that's a concern. Perhaps the fecal dice makers of America have sponsored this, and that's why we're using these fecal dice. We're not using it because it's a disgusting habit.
Right.
Starbucks.
When I'm playing D&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, nothing hits the spot quite like a box of peanut M&Ms and a Starbucks Venti Macchiato.
I couldn't agree more. Do you agree, James?
Why, yes, I do.
All right. Okay. Well, congratulations on the...
Wow, that's some good coffee from Starbucks.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great magazine.
It was a lot of fun this year. Oh, also, here's something to show. It's the first... I don't know if you can... You'll need to show it, Dan.
What are we showing?
It's the first wraparound cover.
Oh,
so
I did not notice that.
Oh, it's like the Player's Handbook.
Yeah. I love it.
It's the front. It's you need to turn yours to the left a little bit. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has a wraparound cover.
It's hard to see because we have your lovely visage and the actual magazine. So.
Okay.
But that's okay. So highlights for me. Well, besides the Necromancer, again, to have someone like Lou Pulsar, who is, we obviously love things from the past, and his contributions were significant back then. I love the Petty Gods. Again, we love, that's something that Dan likes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that Yellow Cap and Nut Brown, that Bigley Nut Brown put together.
Right.
Yes.
Like Nook and Cranny.
I was not involved.
Richard Punch.
Richard, I was not involved with Richard Punch. That was not me.
What do you mean?
That's right. Back in the day.
He's what he is.
So
of course it was Yellow Cap and Bigley Nut Brown.
Right.
Our gnomish correspondents from the gnome realm.
Right.
Menyon with his musings on role playing, Josh's spells. I know Len Lakofka again, who passed. It's been less than a year still, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we're fortunate that Jason has gotten access to this.
Yes, we really are very grateful to the Jason and the Great Council for allowing us to post Len's things. I'd like to point something out on page 26.
26.
Is it a typo?
No doubt. If so, you'll see an ad for something kind of important.
Yes, for Gnomes Tolerated. Oh, yes, self-approved. The GrogCon 2021, there's a QR code, so you can scan that.
Yeah, you should please scan the QR code. It's very important.
Okay.
Dan's going to do it right now.
How do you do that? The kids do that now, right?
You have a QR code scanner on your phone?
I don't know. Do I go to camera? What do I do?
Put your camera
Oh.
and then I've triggered. Oh, I did it.
You did it?
I've triggered a symbol of death.
I didn't. Oh wait, yeah. Tap here. I've triggered.
Yeah, you're dead.
And?
I'm there.
Now,
You've triggered a symbol of death. What the hell's that? The hell are you guys doing?
it's a symbol of death. Well,
Sorry, guys. And so I have assassinated the Grog Emperors and will assume the realm.
Isn't there a saving throw? Don't I get a saving throw?
Are you 55 hit points or
how do you know I'm not?
Do you have more than 55 hit points?
I feel like I do.
Oh.
Can I roll my hit dice?
That's
So this is kind of like when you go, Ogre says what?
Sorry.
Ogre says what? Oh, you're not falling for it.
Sphincter says what? What?
you fell for it.
Okay, we
Okay.
did.
But this magazine has this issue has the entries by a lot of the notable members of the Grog Empire.
Well, yeah, we probably don't have 80 hit points combined, so we're dead.
Sorry, guys.
But well, I do take exception. Excuse me. How did you cast that spell, Symbol of Death?
I didn't. Elron Baroon did, and of course Elron. Oh, also
he's 8th level, so there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he could cast it off of a scroll.
Well, I didn't want to see spell failure. This may have failed. It may have not worked.
No, it did. It clearly it didn't fail. It's in. He cast it. It's right there.
You guys are a bunch of nerds.
Elron. By the way, Elron Baroon is still for the time being, in his position as director of HR, and would like to hire some interns. So please contact info@grogcon.com.
Yep. Or if you want to be a typesetter, do they still have typesetters? You can go to editor@grogcon.com and.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you've assassinated us, because apparently he has a lunch date because he's been getting text messages.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I'm just going to leave.
I told my wife to text me around this time, say I had to go.
That's
So
well done.
I understand you liked from prior shows that you are beginning to implement random encounters the Grogtalk Way, which is on the inner back cover of the magazine.
And so that's why I think because we're ready to do random encounters.
Let's do it.
Perhaps
are we
with you on here?
All right, let me get dice.
That's why you are. He's a gem.
Oh, he's going to do the rolling.
He's a treasure.
May I?
He's
Of
a
course.
he's
Is it random encounter or is it treasure thing?
No, random encounter. We haven't done
All right.
that. We probably won't get to treasure or anything else because we have our guest coming on in 30 minutes.
Right,
So,
right.
based on our pacing. So the only roll you cannot do is the Dorso roll because we have official Dorso dice now.
Understood.
Though Dan doesn't know which one that is. Fiend Folio.
No, I'm sorry.
So Fiend Folio, so for those playing at home, on page 51, next to the last page of Flipping and Turning issue 4, someone has captured the random encounters the Grogtalk Way in detail that's actually disturbing. So step 1, Dorso rolls. We now, because we rolled Fiend Folio, correct?
Correct.
We're now going to
Correct.
step 2.
So I roll a d10.
Roll a d10.
That's a 6.
6, temperate or subtropical conditions. So now roll for a d8, it looks like.
Predominant terrain is marsh.
Marsh. Okay. So now we have marsh. Now you have to roll percentages to figure out what it is.
It is 86.
Troll.
Troll. There you go.
Troll. Have we done a troll?
You've done trolls.
I feel like we've done troll.
We certainly talked about regeneration a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you've done
Let me
trolls
look.
because of course. Well, and thus step 5 begins.
Right. We've jumped to step 5.
Should I roll again?
Nope. Hold on.
He has a list, James. He's doing the IT version of Flipping and Turning. He's scrolling and scrolling.
Well, the problem is I used to capture the chat so I could, just in case someone murdered me or one of us, we would have evidence, but exactly. Oh, the humanity. I don't think we've had troll. I'm going to say we didn't.
I think we've just talked about regeneration
Yeah.
a lot.
We talked about Ring of Regeneration, but we haven't done it. I'm going with we have not done it. So
We get to talk about it again.
Okay. The troll.
I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put it down so that hopefully in the future we won't do it a third time.
James, trolls are horrid carnivores. So carnivores, of course, meat eaters. They don't eat veggies because that would be omnivore, correct?
Yes.
So they're just meat eaters. So if you gave trolls iron rations,
They would eat the meat part.
ooh, iron rations are made out of, you think they have meat in there?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah, of course they do. You're right. What else would they be?
They'd be like dried sausages and things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Dried
Are you
noodles.
imagining that iron ration is a loaf and of indiscriminate stuff, and you just slice off a piece and eat it?
I had never even thought about what iron rations look. Are they like are they wrapped in a package?
Well, they are wrapped for
Suppressionists.
preserved, probably in oilcloth or something like that.
Is there an expiration date? Okay.
It's like MREs, basically.
Okay, so they're meat eaters. They're found in every clime, which I think is interesting. So you can be out in you're in the snow.
In this case, we're in a temperate marsh.
They are feared by most creatures, as a troll knows no fear and attacks unceasingly. So does that mean no morale check?
Correct.
Okay. Their sense of smell is very acute. So they smell they're like a bear. Do they smell your iron rations?
Smell your blood.
They smell you.
They smell
it
you.
all.
Tasty. Okay. It's very acute. Their infravision is superior, 90 feet, and their strength is very great. A troll attacks with its clawed forelimbs and its great teeth. A troll is able to fight 3 different opponents at once. 3 melee rounds after being damaged, a troll will begin to regenerate. Regeneration repairs damage at 3 hit points per round. This regeneration includes the rebonding of severed members. The loathsome members of a troll have the ability to fight on even if severed from the body. A hand can claw and strangle. Yeah, I know, but it's not really. I mean, I guess if you sever it, it's around your neck, but it's not. It's going to move kind of slowly.
If you like take a nap nearby after a tough fight with a troll, and you decided, man, that was tough. Let's take a nap, and its arm could crawl over and strangle you.
That should be a random encounter, you're sleeping in a dungeon, and a troll claw comes walking along.
That would be scary in a couple of things. A, that you see a troll claw, but the fact that it was severed, if you keep reading, that was a recent event.
Oh, so there's a troll nearby. So it's like you have bigger problems.
Well, you have bigger problems that A, something lopped off it, and because keep reading.
Oh my gosh, you're right. First is what severed this claw, and then there's a troll nearby, and he's heading toward it.
Right.
And you're in the path. Okay. The head bite, etc. Total dismemberment will not slay a troll, for its parts will slither and scar together. Oh, we have to deal with this in random encounter. Yeah, but you don't know what's been severed. There's no severing rules.
I thought we were in random encounter.
This is random encounter.
No, but I mean, we have to deal with this in random encounter now with regeneration.
Yes.
And coming back. But there's no severing rules. Meaning, when you roll a die, you don't know if something's been severed, right? This is a problem.
Well,
I think the idea behind it is that as you read closer, people keep chopping up trolls as they try to reconstitute themselves. So as you're hacking away at its corpse, trying to get all of its hit points away, hands may get severed and stuff like that. And this is just the GM. This is just putting things in the GM's pocket if he wants to make your life really miserable.
I agree with that. To kill a troll, the monster must be burned or immersed in acid. Any separate pieces being treated in the same fashion, or they create a hole again in 3 to 18 melee rounds. How is our copper dragon?
Stromboli has got the perfect answer.
He's got acid.
Yep.
This
is unfortunately for the troll. This is probably the only creature he should not fight.
Wow. Troll hide.
But my point was in 3 to 18 rounds. If you see an arm, 2 things have happened. A, something's hacked it up, which is pretty powerful. And B, if you wait between 3 and 18 rounds, it's going to come back together.
Oh, so that hand is, you're sitting there watching.
It's the body's probably not too far away from it.
That would be kind of fun. At the Flesh Pole Festival, we could have like a troll. You chop up the troll, and then you sit and watch, like a show. You watch it.
Oh, wait, you could cut his fingers off, and then people could bet on the different fingers, how fast it can crawl towards the rest of the body.
Yeah, like the cockroach races, right? You put the fingers,
just like cockroach races.
And they kind of do this.
Oh, we should try. So we travel with the troll. The poor troll, he's being hacked up like every time. Hey,
check his alignment.
Chaotic evil.
I'm just saying.
What did you say your alignment was before? Chaotic neutral, lawful neutral?
I'm lawful neutral.
Is Dan really chaotic evil? No.
I'm lawful neutral. I told you.
No,
Wow.
it's just you're not chaotic evil. Are you just neutral evil? Yes. That's what you are.
So there should be like the ethical. So I'm opposed to carnivals.
Wait, you're saying he's gone from lawful neutral to neutral evil? That's a lot of level.
Two alignments.
Two alignment shifts.
Lawful neutral to neutral, neutral and neutral evil.
I think he's become a half-strength emperor under your control.
Well, that's that.
Do
if you've watched the show and you have, I'm not in control of it.
Clearly, no, that's true.
Do I have multiple personalities? Oh,
no.
Okay.
You're just evil.
Troll hide is a nauseating moss green, mottled green, and gray or putrid gray. The writhing hair-like growth upon a troll's head.
Man, this is a long description.
Right. Was going to go over that, but okay.
It's greenish black or iron gray. The eyes of a troll are dull black. All right. Are we ready to go?
Well, step 5. Did we discuss the monster selection? Question vital stats. Yes, get confused about the exact subspecies. Sort of. Did we complain about the length of the monster description? You didn't complain about that.
Rob did.
Well, that's true.
I was just getting in there.
Why is this a really bad choice? Did we discuss it? No.
It's a good choice.
It is. Worked out the monster should have been and which one and why it's inappropriate? Nope. Ultimately decides pretty cool. Does it eat gnomes? Yes, it totally eats gnomes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, in the example of play in the monster or in the DMG, it specifically has a gnome. No, I'm wrong. That's. Oh, I'm sorry. The gnome was being eaten by ghouls, not trolls. I
yes,
apologize.
that's right. The ghouls. He was climbing up the secret door, trap door.
Yep,
He got
and there
zapped
were ghouls up there.
teared to pieces. Which, by the way, I think I still have that highlighted, like in my DMG, as the best part of the
From
DMG.
back in the day. Yeah, that's when
Right.
you knew you loved Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
That's right. When you
The fact, look, it took me 3 seconds to get to that part.
It's dog-eared.
Page 100. I pull myself up into the passage revealed. You get there, all right. He makes a surprise roll. The DM then rolls 3 attacks for the ghoul that grabbed the busy gnome, and 1 claw does 2 damage, paralyzes the hapless creature, whereupon the DM judges that the other 3 would rend him to bits. The end.
The end. Your adventure stops here.
You'd read that every night when you were a kid and
right.
fall asleep.
Come on, kids, let's listen to that story. The fact that I opened it, how quickly this book is, how many pages, and I got to it right
Well,
there.
no wonder all you
It falls over to it.
No wonder your kids are all gnome haters.
It's my Psalm 23 of the DMG.
You must be taught. You must be carefully taught.
All right, we ready to do combat? So we have a troll.
Right, and so wait a minute. Slow down. Step 6, tangent phase, which we've basically been doing. Roll a d6.
And a D12. Oh yeah, D6.
3. So 4 times. Roll a d12. The big one. 7. Write down the title of the next pseudo undead album. The crawling hand. So that's the crawling hand. You got to write that down. Roll d12. Go ahead.
Troll hand races.
Troll hand
wait.
races. Oh, just try troll finger.
Oh no,
races.
I've got a good one. No, loathsome member.
Wonderful.
And now, Loathsome Member. From our new album, Loathsome Member.
I feel like one of those albums that should open up.
It's got all the
Anatomically correct.
It's got the warning from Tippergore.
Loathsome Member. Okay, keep going. Loathsome.
You have to get it. Comes in a brown cover.
Yes. It's like I think that was a Wasp album.
Loathsome Member. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
good. Next one, roll d12.
Okay.
6. Discuss whether creature may use weapons or magic items.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
you
you-
have, because he obviously brought it up. I mean, he's listened to hours of our things, and at some point we brought it up. So.
Well, do you know, in The Hobbit, they were wearing pants. Do you remember that?
Yes.
They had pants on. So I guess they wear clothes.
And I've seen them.
One of them had a pocket. And one of them had a magic coin purse.
Yeah.
Well, and do you know why they were wearing pants, James? Because never mind.
No, I don't know.
Because of the album cover.
Because of Loathsome Member.
Loathsome Members, that's right. Cover their loathsome members. Okay.
Yeah.
So we discussed. Yeah, I think they could use weapons, and why couldn't they use magic items?
Well, they're not very. Well, they're low intelligence. Do you have to know how to use it?
Well, you could put a ring of
I put a ring of regeneration on them. Double ring.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, that's a question for the polyhedron. Would a
That's
troll
right.
benefit from a ring of?
Yes.
All right, D12. We got more D12s.
My God.
This is why it takes 3 hours. That's
8.
the point. Discuss current champion. We are not going to repeat steps 5 through 6. We don't have time for that. So I am short circuiting. So current champion is Stromboli. He's the Copper Dragon, which we sort of did already. We said he has a chance because he has an acid breath weapon.
Yes.
Right, roll D12.
1.
Discuss spells that have similar effect as creature. Oh, there you go. Regeneration.
Ring of regeneration.
Ring of regeneration. Regeneration the spell. This is why this is amazing. One more time. D12. You've done a good job.
8.
8.
This is the
now we go back to the dragon.
This is the esteemed Chancellor of Australia.
Well, he did a great job on this. So talk about he has. Now I'm going to have to determine if the copper dragon is smart enough to realize he should use this acid breath weapon versus his other weapon. which
What's his
slows-
intelligence?
it's
Probably
it's
high.
So let's do an intelligence roll, do you think?
I will when it's time for that. Okay, so now we've done 6. We didn't get a kitten interruption, a random instrumental break. That's too bad. Okay, now we have to determine surprise.
Okay.
So we have to see if we're surprised.
Why aren't you rolling in my thing?
I am. Well, neither of us are surprised. Now I will see if the dragon is sleeping.
Oh, yes.
Do you have snoring sounds effects?
I don't. I should. I have crickets. Maybe the copper dragon sounds like crickets.
Maybe he has a sound machine that sounds
What
like...
is that?
I don't know. I have to roll it again.
This is literally the D100. That's 11.
11. 11. He is sleeping.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, the troll has a chance.
Yes. So he is sleeping. So what does that mean again? Sleeping dragon only found its lair. So you've gone to his lair
Okay.
and awaken upon hearing a loud noise, talking, shouting, forcing a door. If it's within 300, it will be awakened if attacked. Okay. It will also awaken on a roll of 6 on a 6. So basically, you get a +3 to attack. Okay. Well, let's roll distance. You are 50 feet. You're 90 feet away. You come into the cave entrance and you see the copper dragon. You're the troll.
Do I need to now? I'm going to walk up quiet because this is a tasty meal to me. 'Cause,
Possibly,
James.
yes.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm a carnivore,
Yes.
and so I want to take
It's not human flesh, unfortunately.
Well, but I want to take a bite out of you. So I'm going to move up slowly.
Okay.
Do I need to make a roll
No.
for moving? Oh,
No, he's
very
sleeping. As long as you're not doing anything like your saliva hitting the ground is not loud, you should be able to get up.
And it's a marsh. There's kind of noises. I'm
Right.
thinking like the Yoda marsh kind of area.
Sure.
But the example given in the book is that, for example, the door needs to be bashed open. So if you bashed open the door to get to the dragon, it would give him a chance to wake him up.
I'm saying that he Stromboli is in his cave in the marsh, or she. So you can Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
That was established in a prior episode when the
magic user did that.
The magic user thief stole 2 levels worth of experience points in jewelry.
Yes, that's right, exactly. So you're going to attack Stromboli.
I am.
Now, with that said, go ahead. So you will get your attacks. It will also awaken on a roll of 6 on a 60. 6 on a 6. So I still have a chance to be awakened just by you walking. That's going to be basically the surprise.
Oh, and what do you have to do? You're rolling a die 6.
I have to roll a 6 on a d6. I did not.
Wow,
So
you're like
I'm sleeping.
dreaming.
Well, after killing that warp, whatever that was.
Yes.
So you get your attack, and you get +3 to your rolls. So let's see. His armor class he's a copper dragon, right? Did we say copper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about
AC 1. So you get +3 to hit.
Stabuli.
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 Oh, 8 plus 3, 11?
You missed.
Okay.
You're
all right,
6 plus 6
6
hit
plus
dice.
6. 20.
That's a hit.
Wait, so am I like a sword of sharpness? Did I
No.
cut his head off?
No.
Okay.
Keep going. You get 3 attacks.
20. So that was the other claw. Now is the bite. This is the big one. I want this. Oh, a 5.
So you hit 1 time.
Oh, 5 to 8
Yeah. Let's see if he figures how long.
1 to 4
Perfect. Good
That'll
job.
wake you up.
plus
That will wake me up.
4?
Yes. You do 6 points. So he now has 15 hit points.
Okay.
So now it's initiative.
I can't even bite you while you're sleeping? So I basically grabbed on you. What did I do?
Well, I think what happened was, again, I'm sleeping on a giant pile of treasure.
Oh.
You miscalculated the coins, and you hit 1 time, and you fell down.
Oh, and so now the coins are...
Yeah, coins are shaking, everything else. Now I'm awakened. So now it's initiative.
Nope.
Okay.
Declare actions.
Declare actions. What are you going to do?
I'm not going to parlay. I'm going to explain myself. I'm going to attack.
You have to read through the descriptions again and the special abilities.
I don't have any special. I'm attacking.
Okay, so you ultimately decide that the standard attack may or not be used, which you did. Excellent. I'm going to breathe if I survive, which we'll see.
Okay.
So I'm rolling my attack. 1. Oh,
One.
it's simultaneous. So
It's like a slow motion fight.
this is interesting. You get 3 attacks.
Correct, sir.
I have a breath weapon, so I'm going to adjudicate. You get your 2 claws, and then my breath weapon will happen, and then your bite will happen at the same time.
Okay.
So get your 2 attacks.
I'm not going to.
You almost have a chance there, Dan.
19
That's a hit.
and a 12.
Those both hit.
Wow, okay. So the 2 claws hit.
I will confirm that. Yes, 2 hits.
6. 6.
So you've done 18 points of damage.
So I did 6,
Oh my gosh.
6, and 6.
Yes, the number of the beast.
Okay.
So I've now somehow breathed upon you, so make your saving throw.
Okay. Come on, big money. 19.
So
Wow.
now the way I rule it, though it's not in the thing, in the basic Moldvay, it says that the breath weapon does damage equal to its current hit points. His current hit points are 3.
Oh, so wait, I too just is for half.
Yeah, so you took 1.5. You take 2
So
points.
it's just a weak little acid reflux burp.
Yeah.
Wait, how many hit points do you have?
I had 21, but you've
Oh.
done 18.
This is over.
Yes.
I thought this seems like such a big deal. I was so scared.
He was a young
Not
adult.
yet.
Remember, he was a young adult dragon.
Yeah, you just puffed a little bit of acid, came in my eye.
He had reflux.
My
exactly.
eye. Okay.
So now,
Okay, yeah, this is the kind of hubris that a player gets just before a dragon completely wipes them
That's
out.
true.
Oh,
All right.
we're almost done. This is so easy.
I'm gonna be rich.
you as a troll, you are gonna be. So get your bite attack in.
Okay. 10.
10.
Uh-oh.
10. You needed a 12, so you missed.
Okay. So now it's on to...
So now it's initiative again.
do it.
So I realize my breath weapon is not going to work. I'm going to have to wait till later to breathe on you, to burn you. So I'm going to attack normally. So yes, I will definitely attack normally. Oh, 5. 3. Okay, get your attacks in.
Okay.
That's a miss.
Miss a 2.
That's a hit.
16 is a hit. And a 2.
So let's see if you do enough damage. I think you do. Your minimum is enough. Yep. 6
2
points.
plus 4, 6.
That's it. The ref calls
Oh,
it.
Ding,
my
ding, ding.
gosh. Poor Strombruli.
Stabuli.
Oh, mamma mia.
I'm going to eat him like a meatball.
And if a good dragon killed by a troll is just terrible.
This is a dark time in the realm.
It is.
It's very bad.
That's right. That's just.
What's the
defeat.
treasure type? What do I do?
We went over this. We rolled it.
Oh, that's right. We did.
You guys are getting step 10.
Hold on. We got to go back to the thing. What's step 10? Hold on, I got to go back. Step divine intervention.
Oh, a dragon intervention.
Oh, it could be.
Let's see. Good dragons worship Bahamut.
Bahamut. That's right. Well, we don't have to do any of this. It would be Bahamut.
All right. So, James, it's your dragon. Do you want to roll?
Yes, I'm gonna use the ancient dice that you can't tell what it is.
Right.
And it rolls and it keeps rolling and no.
68.
68 Bahamut is not listening.
Bahamut's many. No, wait, he's not the one with many heads.
Yeah,
His benevolence's attention is turned elsewhere.
right. So, yeah, we're not.
He's like, you got killed by one troll, and you have acid breath. That's it. You're out.
I gave you acid breath. I gave you that gift.
You're dead to me.
Yeah.
So
we have a new champ.
And as it says on the bottom of it,
Is there like a beaver in there?
is there a beaver in there? Yes, there is a beaver. Well, very good. Yes, we have a new champ. And someone asked, I didn't get confirmation. Someone asked a patron that the next creature that won, he would like that creature named, his daughter named after. I said, are you sure? So I haven't gotten confirmation.
Wait, he would like his daughter named after the creature, or the creature named after his daughter?
A creature named after his daughter.
Okay, because I was going to suggest Loathsome Member, and that would not be a good name for a new child.
That's right. No,
Loathsome Member Gormansky.
no, he has
L.M. Germansky.
he has a daughter who he would like to.
I just go by.
So the troll is going to be named after. He would like the troll to be named after his daughter.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand what's going on
It
here.
could be it could be a female troll. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want to confirm. I think there may be confirmation of this, but I will. I do have her name, but I'm not going to name her until I get confirmation.
Is this Is this a platinum level benefit or something like that?
I'm being benevolent to the person. That's all.
Okay.
But I also don't want to scar an 11-year-old child would be named after a troll. So a troll will be named after her. So I just want to confirm that.
I'm hoping that the 11-year-old agrees and hopefully will send in an illustration of her troll to flipping and turning.
I think that will be the condition of it. I will, even though I shouldn't be forcing 11-year-olds for labor, but I think that's an awesome idea.
It's not a condition; it's an additional what do you call it? Perk.
And
do you want to talk about the next issue?
Yes, let's quickly talk about
that's associating with GrogCon.
Yes, that would be great. So this will be the issue, just to set this up for Rob. This is the issue that will be released at the time of GrogCon. It will be the GrogCon issue that will be available. So, yeah, Rob, what are you planning for that?
Well, we have some tremendous extra stuff planned for GrogCon, and I'm at the. I don't even want to go into it too much detail because I see that the clock is running down. Please, we have so much stuff that's going in. It's going to be a especially large-sized issue. There's going to be special things, and there will be it'll be available it'll be available at GrogCon.
I think, was there going to be a theme?
There is a theme. It's underwater and waterborne encounters and things like that. Dan is considering some things for it. Lots of people have been already participating. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will be submitting some. I just have to decide if I'm doing an underwater theme or something for the related to the convention. That's the question I have. So maybe later on today or soon, you and I can have a conversation about the status of that. Now that I'm back in Central Florida and can concentrate on it. All right. Yes, I don't know about today because I'm playing, but I thought are you not playing?
Not playing today.
So sometime this week, Rob, that would be great.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Rob, again for a great another great issue. And so, what's the deadline roughly? Or do you have enough material, or is there people still?
No. I'm going to need lots of stuff. It's June. Hopefully, by the end of June, I'll have all of my written submissions in, and I'm hoping by It's July. Sorry, July. Excuse me. It's July. Thank you. I'm hoping that by the third week in August, I'll have my illustrations. We'll assemble it in what's the next month? September, and it'll be available to patrons and others in October.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Rob. Always a pleasure, and we'll talk to you real soon.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye-bye.
All right. So with that, I'm going to... let's see. So we're going to get our guest on in just a few minutes. We're very fortunate to have, hopefully we'll have Allan Grohe on, right? That's
Indeed.
The plan.
Looks like that's going to happen.
Which is always, it's always a crapshoot. Someone asked, why don't you put in your title? Because we've had situations where we thought people would show up and life happens and they go, oh, we forgot. So we try not to do it until after the fact, and then we put it on. So with that said, we're going to go to a quick intermission, and we'll be back with Allan. We'll see you in a few minutes.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn, a complete assortment of delicious candy, and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now. A tasty treat will double your enjoyment of the show.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Dungeon Master has placed you in a dreadfully precarious position. You're playing the most phenomenal game ever created. Your skin grows cold from your first glimpse of the enormous beast. It's a product of your imagination. Survival depends on a quick, decisive move. Your choices are limited. Stand and fight, or run. Use your lightning bolt. Victory is yours.
Win the treasure.
TSR Hobbies, Dungeons & Dragons games. Products of your imagination.
Challenge your imagination to come alive and to battle with the creatures of Dungeons & Dragons. Grapple against the forces of evil as a Marvel Comics superhero. Hunt adventure and glory as Indiana Jones. The all-new role-playing games of TSR and Dungeons & Dragons. Unleash the power of your imagination.
You are the player, and the arcade is the arena. You focus your mind and propel yourself into a universe where you're the master of your destiny for as long as you can keep the trip going. This is the arcade experience. We're ColecoVision. We bring the arcade experience home with games like Donkey Kong with multiple screens, arcade controls, and arcade graphics that let you have the arcade experience at home because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
For nearly 3,000 years, man has searched for the lost Ark of the Covenant.
The Bible speaks of the Ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions. Not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets.
Jones, do you realize what the Ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God.
An army which carries the Ark before it is invincible.
The Ark, if it is their Eternis, then it is something that man was not meant to disturb.
It is protected by forces beyond imagination. It is desired above all treasures on earth by those who are good, trust me, and those who are evil.
I'll tell you everything. Yes, I know you will.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Let her go. We have no time. If you still want the Ark, it has been loaded onto a truck for Cairo.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. A film from Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
The Beholder, the Beholder. Legendary and terrifying. Each eye possesses a different magical ability. The main eye projects an anti-magical cone, and the other eyes have different spell-like abilities, including disintegrate, flesh to stone, cause fear, cause death, and others. Many variant beholder species exist, such as observers, spectators, eyes of the deep, elder orbs, hive mothers, and death tyrants. In addition, some rare beholders can use their eyes for non-standard spell-like.
And we are back. And Dan, we have a new little figure with us. Why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, so it is our pleasure to have on the show today Allan Grohe. Allan is the co-founder of Black Blade Publishing, which has been at the forefront of the ORS movement and known as Grogtalk to many. He's a fixture in the OSR movement. So Allan, it is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Good morning.
Welcome, welcome. So, Allan, we've been trying to get you on for a while, and schedules had kind of go through. How has, just real quick, have you been the last couple of years with the pandemic and everything else? How's that worked out? Have you done any gaming, conventions, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I just came back from the North Texas RPG Con. So that was at the beginning of June this year. And it's been going for, I don't know, 12 years now or something like that. And that was the first in-person convention I'd been to since North Texas in 2019.
Okay.
So that was nice to get back and see friends and game in person there and stuff like that. So it's been cool. I work from home in general before the pandemic. So I've been working from home since 2005. So that's been pretty easy for me from an adjustment point of view.
Right.
But, we had to, when the kids were doing everything from home here, and, we kind of upped the bandwidth, got another access point in the house, had to do some adjustments for that kind of stuff.
Now, how was North Texas this year versus 2 years ago? What were the differences?
It was pretty good, actually. North Texas is a relatively small convention. So this year, I want to say there were probably in the neighborhood of 350-ish people. And that's a little bit smaller than previous years, but not immensely so. But I think that the big difference we saw from at our Goodman Games Black Blade booth was that there were probably more folks who were in just for the weekend rather than for the whole 4 days of the convention. So that was probably a little bit of a difference. But then some folks who were sort of regular attendees didn't come this year, thinking it was a little bit still too soon to be out and about. Wanted to kind of give it a little bit more time to soak in, or maybe hadn't had a chance to get vaccinated or whatever yet. So
well, great.
Okay, and I wanted to ask, so you're definitely a fixture in the OSR movement. I mean, when I got back into the game several years ago, and I started bouncing around online, looking up things, Grodog, this person named Grodog appeared, seems like everywhere. If you scroll down the comment list, Grodog would be commenting. And that, of course, is you. I wanted to get your thought. OSR, old school revival or old school renaissance, do you think?
Well, I don't know that it matters kind of what you call it, truthfully.
All right, thanks so much, Allan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because one of our guests felt that they didn't like old school revival because they felt it never went away.
Well, I think when my perspective from when it was starting, it was more old school renaissance was the terminology. And that's still how I just kind of think of it. And renaissance is a cool word. So, I mean, I like that. And I like the sense of sort of returning to the roots and giving it new life and building beyond on the foundation you had before. So, what the real life renaissance did was, expand our science and medicine and art and everything well beyond what the classics were that it was based on from ancient Rome, ancient Greece and stuff. But so, I mean, I really like that sense of the term Renaissance, but I'm not deeply married to sort of one or the other from how you want to kind of flavor it and stuff. And I think the OSR has changed quite a bit in terms of the focus of the types of games and the reasons those games are being designed and created and published now compared to what it was back in 2003 to 2008, 9 kind of time frame.
And I was going to ask you, is there a date that you would identify as the beginning? I'm writing a textbook on this, James.
Right.
As a beginning, as a beginning of the OSR movement, because you really never went away, right? I mean, you continued to play. You didn't go into a deep freeze like people like James and I did.
Well, I mean, I came back to D&D specifically with the Back to the Dungeon campaign for 3rd edition. So I hadn't played D&D actively for probably about 10 years or so, maybe a little less. during that window. So in the 90s, I was playing lots of Cthulhu, lots of vampire and related storyteller games, stuff like that, Ars Magica, things like that. But D&D was definitely not as much of my focus then. So I did definitely go into a D&D hibernation.
Can I ask you about that? Was D&D not cool then? I think we had Dan Collerton on the show, who he said in the late 80s, it just seemed it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't I don't know if it was ever cool in the 80s. When we say cool, we mean for people like us.
Right.
But that it just was sort of going out of vogue at the time. Was that why you left D&D for a bit?
I think D&D felt like it left me, the way that they were creating products. I was a diehard Greyhawk fan. I still am. So, the Greyhawk stuff they started putting out in the late 80s was pretty lame and, garbage for the most part. And it didn't really start reviving from a setting point of view until Carl Sargent started doing some work on it in the early 90s. So when they published the Joke Castle Greyhawk module, WG7, I think, I returned it to the bookstore I bought it at.
Wow.
I felt like, betrayed. And then when, Jim Ward had written a article in Dragon about kind of making D&D mom friendly in issue 130-ish, 136, something like that. They stripped out the assassins and the monks, and I didn't really see any need for that. But then, they changed the names for the demons and devils, and it just seemed like it was becoming much more sanitized than what I wanted in a game. So I moved on.
So third edition brought you back in.
Yeah, so I think really what pulled me in with third edition was the focus back on Greyhawk and foregrounding it in the core rules, and then the Living Greyhawk campaign was that was interesting, and I think they did a really good job of kind of pulling people back into the hobby with what made first edition D&D so much fun was that focus on good dungeons and stuff like that. Now, I don't know that the execution of the system and all that stuff was, in the long run, what really would have kept me going there. But
was there somebody?
I was a victim of the marketing hype for sure.
Was there somebody at TSR at that time that you think was responsible for that?
Oh, for the marketing?
Well, for bringing back in, for giving it a vibe that would bring people like you back into it.
Well, I remember them talking about the D20 license and stuff at the Gamma trade shows in either 98 or 99. And Ryan Dancy did a whole presentation around what their vision for the OGL license and the D20 system license and all that stuff was going to be. And I thought that was very interesting. And that was also a far cry from what TSR was doing at the time. That was a kind of returning the game to the fans in some ways in terms of opening it back up for those kinds of third-party products and stuff that they relied on so much for third edition. And I think, so if that's really before the start of the OSR, but that really, it laid the foundation for what the OSR could come out of. Without that approach to making the rules accessible and open, the OSR, I think, would not have happened in the way that it has. I don't know, maybe it would have, but because, the very early kind of proto-OSR stuff with Necromancer Games is, third edition rules, first edition feel, and with Castles and Crusades and with Hackmaster, those things kind of were happening, before the full OSR started, as we think of it today. So, maybe it still would have happened. I don't know. But so that's kind of where I would start to put that zone, So it kind of built on that OGL foundation for third edition. And then as people grew more and more either dissatisfied or wanting to return to closer to the roots of what D&D was, I think that's kind of what really started driving the origins of the real OSR.
And when was Gary Con 0? Because you were at Gary Con 0, and that
I was
kind of would that sort of coalesce with or coincide with sort of perhaps a start of the OSR movement too?
I think that's fair. Gary's funeral was the first Gary Con, and I actually ended up having to leave a little bit early because my wife went into labor with our second son a month early. Okay. So I ended up leaving, like catching a plane out like the next day in the morning earlier than I was supposed to have left at the time. But yeah, I think Gary's death, I think, brought a lot of people together to talk about what D&D meant to them again. And it served as a catalyst in some ways, I think, for folks kind of rallying around the game in some ways.
And how was it? So you were at Gary's funeral?
Yeah. I attended it there.
Okay, so how does that happen? So James, we were not invited.
We were invited.
We would be. How does that happen? I mean, who did you know in the business at that time? Because that was was it a large gathering, a small gathering?
It wasn't huge. The family kind of had opened it up to gamers attending the funeral. So local people came, and then like some folks I know who were not necessarily, quote unquote, old school designers and stuff also attended. I remember Monty Cook had flown in from Seattle for the funeral, and he and some other folks were there who'd come in together to be there and pay their respects. But I was there. I was already planning to head up to Lake Geneva that weekend to have a business meeting with Rob Kuntz, and the timing just happened to work out that that's when the funeral was going to be. So I went to the funeral with him. Paul Stormberg was there, who's also very active in the OSR and in Dragon's Foot and with Gary's and Gail's estate. So that's the first time I met Luke or Ernie in person, I think, was at the funeral there.
I'd like to take you way back. I want to hear about Mrs. Major.
Mrs. Magger. No, that's all right. She was the librarian at the school that I went to elementary school in. So she was awesome. She taught our gifted and talented kids in school. And when I graduated, she gifted me with the library's copy of the Holmes box set.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I had not had my own copy of the rules when I first started playing. I learned from a guy down the street named John Lewandowski, my brothers and I did. And we kind of played with this wonderful mishmash of Holmes Basic and the heritage dungeon dweller kind of miniatures kind of set from the Caverns of Doom rules. So sort of like half D&D and half board game miniatures. And we used the old little electronic Stratomatic football figures as miniatures. And we would like paint them different colors and give them toothpicks to be swords and stuff like that. So I didn't actually end up having my own copies of the rules until 1980. I remember waiting for Deities and Demigods to come out. So that summer I had bought the Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, and Dungeon Master's Guide. And so this is actually how you're supposed to play.
That seems so unlike you now, right? I don't. So I would have thought you would have been the kid at the bookstore as they come out and buying them, but maybe your parents weren't handing you any cash.
Well, I think I ended up getting summer jobs and stuff like that starting around then. So
was there anything in Holmes Basic that you really like and that you think did it better than AD&D?
I think Holmes, for me, felt like a really good distillation of, in retrospect, because I didn't know OD&D at the time, but it's a really good distillation, I think, of OD&D. And what did I like better about it? It just felt like a natural flow to me, I guess, into AD&D. And the rule, Holmes was really kind of geared toward that, toward getting you to play AD&D in terms of talking about it and stuff. I like the things that Eric put into the rules about sort of making it your own and customizing it. It's kind of like little hints of things throughout it, but where he talks about the character classes and how you could have somebody who's a centaur or a samurai or a witch. And that's all from his campaign, of course. And then that's Holmes is also the box set that has the fun little aside about in Tenzer's floating disc about Tenzer's greed as a character or perhaps as a player in the game, which I thought was a neat little anecdote. And I would always forget where that was. I'd go back looking for it and I'd have to, it's in the Holmes set. I would want to look at that later for Greyhawk references.
And you, from a very young age, you were going to conventions. So I think, for a lot of us, we couldn't afford. I mean, we're 12 years old. I have a bike.
Right.
You went to Origins in 1980, correct?
I did, yeah. So I started playing in 77 as a kid. And I was 7 years old. So again, I don't know that I would have, even if I had the rules, I don't know it would have made much difference in my ability to actually use them. But we had the South Jersey scene. I grew up in a small town called Merchantville in South Jersey, which is right across the bridge from Philly. And there was a lot of conventioneering going on in that area. So Origins was still kind of moving around from site to site, but would often be in Baltimore. And then that in that year, it was at Widener University again, which is outside of Philadelphia. And my aunt, who was a Roman Catholic nun, she was very progressive. And she was friends with the brothers Hildebrandt from up in her parish. So I met them sometime when I was a kid. But she took me to the convention. And I think one of my friends came. And then maybe another year we went afterward. I think maybe my friend's mom took us or something like that. So we stayed in the college dorm. So it wasn't, I don't remember it being particularly air conditioned, and then we would kind of run around and play games and kind of experiment and see what's going on out there and all that kind of stuff. What I remember most from, and I still don't know for sure whether it was that convention or it was one of the Gen Con Easts. They had Gen Con East 1 in Cherry Hill, which is the town right next door to Merchantville, where I would bike to the mall, to the bookstore to get my books. I don't remember if it was there or if it was the following year at Gen Con East 2, which I think was back at Widener. But at one of them, I remember play testing Gangbusters before it was published. And what I remember was playing that with some guy who, in retrospect, later I recognized as Gary. Because he had the little portrait picture on the Grenadier miniatures, and on the little box set for I don't remember if it was Tomb of Spells or one of the I guess it was one of the action art sets, and it has the picture with him kind of with holding a skull there in the corner of the miniatures sheet showing what all the figures are, and I recognized him like, oh, I know who that is.
Okay, all right, wait a time out. So. You were playing a game with Gary.
He's 10.
And you're 10. So
plus or minus.
Plus or minus.
Yeah.
So this is at Origins. This is Gangbusters at the 1980 Origins?
It was either at the 80 Origins or maybe at the 81, 82 Gen Con East. Yeah, somewhere in that zone.
So this brings up multiple questions. Number one, you got into a game with Gary. It would seem like that would be hard to do, right? I mean, now you've got, you go to some of these conventions, you have to have the high badge.
That's a platinum badge level.
Right. I mean,
you have to sell a kidney to do that now.
So number one, how, and I know you probably don't know, but how in the world did you get into a game with Gary? And number two, it didn't come up. People weren't like, "That's Gary."
So I don't have super strong recollections of the specific details, unfortunately. But what I remember is that there was this section of the convention area where they were doing kind of like open gaming or whatever. And somebody down there maybe was running a demo or maybe doing a play test or something like that. And I got pulled into that. And it was in this, you had to walk down the stairs into it. And it kind of felt like a dive college bar or something like that with the tables set up and things. It could have been a student center or whatever. I remember it was in this building called The Hobbit for the convention. And I don't think it was called The Hobbit all the time.
Right.
And this is something I've been trying to track down, actually, so I could try to nail down this by like pulling up, trying to find convention programs and stuff to see if it'll say like, oh, open gaming was here that year or whatever. And I just haven't been able to find the right stuff to figure out exactly what it was. But what I remember is playing the game. I remember that it was, the counters and stuff. And what I'm remembering is that it was, I think it was pretty close to like the final, like looking map and counters and things. So it may well have been after Gangbusters was out, as opposed to it being playtesting Gangbusters before it came out, which would put it more in the 82-ish time frame, probably 81, 82.
So what was Gary? What was he like?
So I don't have any recollection of the game. I only recognized him in retrospect afterward. So it could be that maybe he stopped by and was watching. It could be that he was playing a little bit there. I just don't remember the specifics of that in detail. It was
whatever.
Yeah.
He made a stark impression.
Excuse me, I'm playing here.
That's right.
He's like, yeah. Well, maybe you shushed him.
That's right.
We're playing.
I probably wouldn't have done that, but.
And you met Gary other times, right? You went to other conventions in the 80s. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So he signed my DMG at Origins in 87. And then at the Lake Geneva gaming convention that the Trollor Games used to put on before Gary Con in 2000 and I don't know 4, 7, something like that. Somewhere in those years, I saw Gary again, and I had him sign a bunch of various things. I had him sign some of my favorite Dragon issues, and he signed my Warriors of Mars and things like that. But yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him several times at conventions, and I did correspond with him and with Rob a little bit around the time of the founding of New Infinities too. So I had met Rob at Dragon Con #1 in 87, which is the first convention I traveled to on my own that was like out of state.
Oh, he's frozen.
He's frozen.
So you guys
Yep.
froze.
Yep, you're back now. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I met Rob at 87, and I started corresponding with him, and then I also was following what Gary was doing with New Infinities, and I sent some letters back and forth with to Gary as well, but those were much more perfunctory in response and stuff. He didn't have a lot of time to write to fans in detail and things. Rob had a little more time to follow up, and that's what really started our longtime friendship and publishing association eventually. So,
in retrospect, is there one question you now wish you could ask Gary?
There's probably lots of questions I would like to have asked Gary. That I don't think I have anything that kind of stands out as something that I've always wished I'd asked him that I hadn't asked, because he was so accessible online through the EN World or Dragon's Foot question and answer threads that you could kind of just pop in and ask him anything and such. What I kind of wish would have happened a little differently, I guess, in terms of that relationship with Gary would be that when I was working with Tadashi Ohara from Chaosium and Different Worlds in the early 2000s, I wish maybe like 2 or 3 months earlier we had pitched Gary and Rob on the idea of an OSRIC-like book more aggressively, because Gary had kind of made a gentleman's agreement to publish Castle Zagig with the Troll Lords in 2003, 2004, after his first stroke-ish, somewhere in that zone of time. And it was just a few weeks later that I had asked him about whether he'd want to do something like that with Tadashi.
Got it. Okay.
So I wish the timing had been better to, see that whole kind of project come to fruition sooner and maybe in a more complete way than it turned out.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you, before I do, of course, want to get to OSRIC, I'm fascinated by your search for Treasure of the Dragon Queen. If there's something Allan is having difficulty locating, it's hard to find.
Right.
This man has everything, pretty much. So I don't know if you have any white. This is your white whale, isn't it? Something called Treasure.
It is.
So can you tell us the story? Why is this your white whale, and what is it?
So this was, I have some more crisp memories about this, and I have found some of a little bit of info and artifacts and things about it over the years. So this was a convention. So in Jersey, there's the Rutgers University up in North Jersey, and there were a group of folks there, and they still, I think, have a functioning university gaming club, Rutgers University Gamers. I don't think it's called exactly that now, but it's still there in succession.
Rug, right? I mean,
yeah,
rug.
exactly.
What do we call it? Rug.
Yeah, and they ran events up and down the East Coast. They would run games at Origins. They had their own convention, Northeaster Con, from 82 to 84, 83 to 85, something like that.
Well, they had a van, so they traveled.
and they also ran events at Atlanticon and some of the other conventions in the area. But this convention we played was a lot of fun. It was a quest it was a race to try to recover the treasure of one of Tiamat's consorts. Because the horde would destabilize the whole region, cause wars, whatever. And it was you were racing against 3 sets of NPC / monster characters trying to get to it. So there was this force of druids that were maybe allied with lizard men. There was a beholder. And the beholder, I remember, because we must have encountered him at some point, because there was this Jeff D style like illustration of the beholder bursting up through the floorboards in the room, and eye rays shooting all over at you and things. And then there were these 2 evil fighters, Ty and Agmar, that were also after the treasure, and they had henchmen, or maybe they had the lizard men. I don't remember. But it was a lot of fun. And I played it with my brother, and I think one of our best friends who played a lot of D&D with us as kids, a guy named Alex who lived down the next street over. So my brother Phil and Alex and I think, all played this at the convention in '84, is what it turns out later. So I've tried to track down the president of RUG, and it turns out that one of the other guys who was part of RUG remembered that Al Reeder, who was the president, he was an artist, and he would do illustrations for their in-house zine. So I had reached out to Jeff D and talked about it, and Frank Menser and a bunch of other folks to try to get recollections from people who were involved in the RPGA to see if this was an RPGA adventure. At one point, some people thought Tom Moldvay might have written this. But I think in the end, it was probably a Rutgers University original. My hunch is that Al Reeder did the art that I remember so iconically from it. And that hopefully somewhere in the Rutgers archives or something, somebody has a copy somewhere. So yeah, that's my white whale. So what I originally was trying to do was, my brother Phil was turning 30 in 2001 or something like that, 2002, when I was trying to hunt this down for the first time. And I thought, I could try and find this tournament. People, it's not that long ago then. And I could run it for him as a birthday present. And I will have to, create this. I've settled that I will have to recreate the adventure, at some point on my own. and maybe I'll do that for his 50th, birthday.
Yeah. So your experience, you never saw, except for the illustration, you didn't like peruse the adventure. You just played in it.
Right, exactly. So what I did find is in some of our old kind of convention ephemera, because I have a bunch of my old badges and stuff from way back when as a kid too, and then I had saved a bunch of programs. So I have like the East Con program, which was another one of these conventions in the South Jersey area that was like in '83, and that's the first mention outside of Dragon magazine I had found at the time of Rob Kuntz's tournaments for the Maze of Zane, which he later published with Creations Unlimited and then with Necromancer Games, etc. But anyway, so in that stuff, I found my brother Phil's character sheet from the tournament. So he was playing a cleric named Turpin Mace Welder. And the character sheets were done on these old style computer punch cards that were like a third party product published in like 87. Or excuse me, from like 77, 78. So I found that, and then I found eventually some my convention programs from that time that had the convention blurb in there. So that's that, and my recollections about it are really all I have from a detail point of view about the adventure. So I'm sure it's, by now it's amplified in awesomeness, 700-fold in my head compared to like maybe the 5-10 page adventure might really be. I don't know, but it would still be fun to track.
But this experience is obviously so indelible for the last 20-something years that, and I've mentioned a similar thing where, but you had played for a long time at that point. It wasn't like you were a new player. When I've heard stories like this from other people, and myself included, it's something early on where the DM or an adventure that was really so unique, and it just, again, my example was the guy who started playing with us. He had this tournament that your player character would go through, and it was like this random Rube Goldberg, multiple dice, and my character was a half-orc assassin. And he had to do a poetry reading against, a bard, and basically I had
awesome.
It was to the death. Everything was to the, you basically wagered.
I love it. Right. Poetry to the death.
Now
that's
he's got to
great.
find this one too.
Right.
He's got this. Put this on the list.
And it was just fun. It was just random things you had to do, and so and it was basically a skill check, and I rolled a 20, because I had literally 1 in 20 chance of having that, so it became a draw. It was a miracle roll, but that experience and the fact that it was random, skills versus this, it was indelible. I'm sure if I talked to him again, I could. It's probably like, one page with just random crap that he put in. So I'll be curious if you ever do find your white whale and besides this evocative picture, is it just like, like when we write tournament adventures, when you write a tournament adventure, it's 300 pages. When I write one, there's like 5 notes, some scoring.
Yeah,
I really
I'm probably in between you guys on that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're in publishing. You actually publish your stuff.
Right. Yeah. You should publish your stuff based on how long it is.
If charged by pages.
Right. The people couldn't afford it.
Right.
That's the way to make money. Get paid by the word.
There you go. Well, we wish you luck in finding that. So good luck.
Yeah.
Well, we need to set up a separate channel on Discord. The Dragon Queen, Treasure of the Dragon Queen channel. See if anyone comes by.
I figure I should like put a public notice of a $2,000 reward or something out there for it or something, and that would make something happen. But
that's right.
But I actually even tried to reach out to the editors of the Rutgers University Alumni magazine to get them interested in a story about the conventions and the gaming group.
Oh, okay.
And then of course the real reason I want to do that is to try to find the adventure.
Well, I don't think this would work. Is Rutgers a public university?
It's a state university, yeah.
It's a state. And was this organization connected with Rutgers, or is it just a...
Yeah, they were an official club.
Have you tried a Freedom of Information Act request to Rutgers?
I have not, but that's an interesting possibility. I will write down.
Yes, because I'm sure they're really going to search long and hard. They're going to be like, no, we don't have. There's no documents responsive to your request.
Is this a voluminous request? Yes, I'd like all the records for this, as in the freedom, whatever the New Jersey law.
Well, maybe there's a box somewhere.
Right.
I mean, do they have to keep? Well, they never handed it off. I mean, it's not like that organization is going to hand it to the registrar's office. They're just going to throw it in the trash.
It's in a box in somebody's attic is my hope.
Well, you know what we're going to do for you? We have a die here, which is yes or no. It tells the future, and we're going to roll. So, do you want to know the answer, or do you not want to know?
Of course.
All right, here we go. Will Allan ever find the
Treasure of the Dragon Queen?
Thank you, Treasure of the Dragon Queen.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, and I had a very fun not old. It was a trinket from where'd it go? Here we go. From a Magic 8 Ball from a tech conference. And this one had a 20-sider inside of it, not just your usual 4 or 8. So I've always thought it would be fun to create an omen die for gaming. And I will do the same thing from time to time and see what comes up.
I was really hoping it would be the yes but, because then we could talk about yes but that adventure sucks.
Right.
It's just the yes. But what's interesting is there is one with an exclamation point. He didn't get that.
Right.
So it's just like yes, you will get it. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's affirmative, but not.
I'll take yes.
Yes.
What adventure have you bought that you expected to be meh, and then you're like, this is great. So is there like a hidden gem that you're just like, wow, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fun adventures that are like that play out better than they look. But I think the one that I probably have a soft spot for in Greyhawk setting is the Return of the Eight adventure that was done by Roger Moore as part of the Greyhawk revival, Greyhawk 98 timeframe.
Well, if it's the Roger Moore, of course it's good.
It's the Roger Moore.
Of course.
But it starts out very railroady. But the coolest thing, and the coolest thing about it is that it details Tenzer's castle as this really cool location, sort of on its own little tidal causeway out in the Nerdive. About a mile from the shore, and the storyline's relatively interesting. It kind of builds off the premise that from the Greyhawk Wars era of second edition D&D Greyhawk, Robilar and Rary betrayed the rest of the Circle of Eight, killed Tenzer and Autoluke and maybe somebody else, and they were slain. There was their clones were destroyed, and they're just gone. So in this adventure, it turns out that Tenzer had a secret clone facility set up on one of Oerth's moons that then got activated, and his clone is then coming to fruition. So it's the story of sort of the Tenzer re-emerging into the Flaness through this process. But the fortress was very cool, and there were like bad guys invading the fortress from Yuz, and Igwil was operating in the background, and Turney from.
Do you want to pull out your gazetteer?
I need Carlos Lysing here to help to
translate some of this for you.
Yeah. So and Turney from the Iron Flask of Turney the Merciless is part of the storyline. So it was a fun adventure. So a little railroady, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, one of my all-time favorite adventures is very railroady, which is Dan Collerton's Rise of the Dark from White Dwarf magazine. Very railroady, but I think you can do railroady in a very good way. It takes effort.
Yeah, just peel off the rails and insert it into your campaign, and it fits in fine.
Yeah. Let's talk. Okay, so OSRIC. So you, of course, are the co-founder of Black Blade Publishing. And
Indeed.
And for our listeners who don't know, OSRIC is a very popular 1E clone. Was it the first 1E retro clone?
I think it probably was, but like Basic Fantasy, in terms of retro clones, Basic Fantasy came out around the same time. OSRIC came out around the same time, and then they both were, from a retro clone point of view, after Castles and Crusades and Hackmaster and Necromancer Games' entries into the D20 market earlier, so earlier in the 2000s. So, but yeah, that's I think it's the first AD&D retro clone. Yeah.
And had you gone back to first edition? Because you said third edition brought you back in. Had you returned at some point to first edition before OSRIC?
I did, yeah. So I'd never left Greyhawk, really. So even when I sold off like my Magic the Gathering cards in the 90s, and which of course
that's too bad.
I wish I'd kept, because I could have put my kids through college with them. But I sold off like my most of my original Dragon magazines, my OD&D box set, and Mrs. Mager's home set I sold, and things like that.
So there was a market for them. I mean, I know Magic cards. Was there a market? How because again, this is almost pre-internet.
Well, Rec Games FERT Miscellaneous, Rec Games FERT Marketplace, and Usenet and stuff like that were very active for that kind of stuff, and sort of and even at convention flea markets and stuff, that was still kind of going on a lot. That was one of the neat draws about going to conventions, was you could my Greyhawk folio that I bought from some guy at a convention, because I it was Greyhawk and it looked cool, and I knew at least a little bit about Greyhawk from the DMG by then. But I bought that, and I bought like the Haven box set from Game Lords and stuff, just from some guy at a flea market, at a convention selling some stuff. So
you were back to 1E. Who were you gaming with at that point? Was it hard to find people who would play 1E at that point?
So no. So when I was in California, we were playing 3E. And what drove me away from 3E in the end was working with Rob and Necromancer Games on the conversion for Maze of Zane #4, and having to stat Zane out as a 16th level wizard, and sort of all the just number crunching and math and horrible making sure all these bonuses add up properly and conditional this and that. That's what drove me away from third edition in the end. But so in 2005, my wife and I moved back to the Midwest from California. And when I moved back here, we moved to Wichita, which is where her family all is. One of the guys who was very active on the Necromancer Games boards was Jon Hershberger, who's my partner in Black Blade. So he play in their games, which were sort of in the process of restarting at that time. So they had gotten together for like their old group for a friend's funeral in that 2005-ish timeframe. So we started getting together and playing one-shots where we would just get together at people's houses. And we weren't playing a regular campaign or anything. We would do them maybe 3 or 4 a year for a year or two. And then we decided, well, maybe we should get a campaign going. And that's when John said he wanted to DM Caverns of Thracia. So we started up a AD&D game with Caverns of Thracia, and had a lot of fun delving into Janelle's, wonderful adventure.
She was on.
So that's what really started me back with AD&D there. But I'd already been very active back on AD&D stuff with, the Necromancer Games boards. Despite being third edition, there was a very strong interest in AD&D there. I'd never really lost my interest in Greyhawk. And then Dragon's Foot was, up and around. And even early EN World, there was still a lot of interest in earlier editions as well.
So tell us about OSRIC. So obviously, OSRIC is great for people who don't want to spend or can't afford to buy all the books, which are getting very pricey now, right? So tell us about what OSRIC was. What is a retro clone, and what was OSRIC? Is OSRIC?
Yeah. So OSRIC kind of went through a couple phases of development. When it was originally conceived, OSRIC was a much slimmer book, and the intention with it was to be a vehicle for publishers to be able to still publish AD&D rules like people were doing in the 80s via Rolaids or Game Lords and all these other Delph, third-party guys.
Right. He's got my Delph module.
That's right.
Lyra Medusa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So OSRIC was starting out so it kind of grew out of this idea of, people who were not happy with what Castles and Crusades became, and who saw the potential for what maybe could have been by using the OGL, then thought, okay, we can create this vehicle for publishers to publish under this safe harbor of the OGL. And although that was not at all the intention that Wizards of the Coast had when they did the creation of the OGL, we thought, okay, we can take everything we like about AD&D. We can use the real terms, and it doesn't have to be hits to kill. It can be hit points, etc. And create that as a vehicle to publish adventures. And that's really what it was initially set out to do. Help publishers keep AD&D alive by letting people continue to publish more adventures for AD&D. But eventually, so that was the first version that it was published as. And that was done through work with a bunch of different folks on the Knights and Knaves boards and on Dragon's Foot. So Dave Prada, who has gone on since to do a lot of work with Jeff Talanian's Hyperborea, Astonishing Swordsman and Sorcerers Hyperborea game. He's the main editor for Jeff's work there. And he was a longtime Greyhawk fan as well. I don't remember if Dave was very involved with Living Greyhawk, but
he's
anyway.
damn Prada, right? He did the combat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You use that one, James, right?
Yes, the Addict.
The Addict.
Yep.
He did the Addict.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. That's his. And he's got some other documents that were very useful, like lists of Greyhawk gods and things like that, that have been around for years and such. But so Dave and I were sort of the two main editors / developers for trying to mature the initial manuscript put together by Matt and Stuart. Matt Finch started the process, and then Stuart kind of picked it up and finished it. And Stuart put the legal framework together because he was based in the UK, and he wisely at the time recognized that having that additional protection of kind of overseas law for where the copyright and trademarks were being managed from would give OSRIC a little bit of an extra layer of protection initially, because we didn't have any idea what was really going to happen with it. This was clearly not what they wanted, what Wizards of the Coast wanted people to be doing with the OGL and the D20 licenses. So
was it ever an issue though? I mean, has the license changed? They could revoke the license at any time they wanted, I assume.
Well, the OGL, you can still publish it under the terms of it's an open license. So it's out there. It's forever available at this point, as I understand it.
Oh, okay. So now, weren't there some things that you couldn't use? I can't remember. I don't know why it's in my head. That some monsters.
So there's a few monsters that are that were not included in the OGL. So things like Beholders, Kuatoa, Githyanki, things that are part of the what they consider the original IP of D&D that are sort of completely unique to Dungeons and Dragons. So those are things that weren't included in the scope of the OGL, but then people could create their own versions of those and just have the, illithids with the serial numbers filed off. And that's what people were doing in the D20 era already to get around that. And there was a great project that was spearheaded through one of the guys on EN World who did a lot of work then with Necromancer Games later for the Tome of Horrors. So that became the compendium of all the monsters that were not in the OGL, and Necromancer Games got, because of their them being so strong in supporting the third edition rules, and maybe partly also through both their legal acumen of the owners, as well as the publishing distribution relationship through White Wolf. But they were able to get permission in the Tome of Horrors to then create and make available all these other monsters that were not in the original OGL, but were in like the Fiend Folio or the Monster Manual 2 or whatever. So all of those creatures then get cited by anybody else through the Tome of Horrors when they want to publish something that's in there. And those include, the versions of the monsters that people can't use now, but they're the version you can use with the serial numbers filed off.
Okay.
So that was sort of the original idea behind OSRIC, was this this vehicle to help publishers keep the game alive that we wanted to keep alive, ignoring the third edition game we didn't care about anymore. And then there was enough demand from the player base that they didn't want just sort of a conversion document. They wanted AD&D back, because AD&D wasn't in print. The books were not quite as expensive as they are now, but they were starting to get up in price. And there's still a number of people out there who are not fans of AD&D's sort of Jaquazed editing and referencing across the books in style.
We call that flipping and turning.
Yeah, exactly. And then some people don't like the writing tone of Gygaxian prose either. So when OSRIC began to expand, then what we did is we wanted to be able to kind of condense the core books together into what became, sort of the now standard OSRIC 2.0 version or 2.2 version, whatever. So that would be your player's handbook, your monster manual, and your Dungeon Master's Guide stuff. There were still a few things in there we couldn't include, or that were done slightly differently. So one of the areas we had to work around from a legal point of view was kind of differentiating how to present information in a way that was like AD&D's presentation, but doing it in a way that's mathematically derived as opposed to presentation derived. So like strength tables. So the strength tables in OSRIC are slightly different than AD&D's strength table in terms of where the percentage bonuses break down. And that's because they follow a straight mathematical algorithm instead of the kind of way it was done in AD&D exactly, because that was a presentation decision is what we decided when we were putting all this together. So and then like the Bard was left out because there wasn't an easy way to do that from a mathematical point of view. It's almost a prestige class, in a sense for AD&D.
James was disappointed that you didn't exclude the gnome.
Right. I would have supported Watsy's claim of that being intellectual property and that it would never see the light of day.
James will be bringing a legal action to exclude the gnome from OSRIC on behalf of Watsy.
That's right.
So and then like the assassin was left out too, but then Stewart published versions of those in the Footprints magazine for Dragon's Foot, among others, and there have been other people who've done other versions and stuff too, but otherwise it's largely there, I think.
Oh, right. And
so it says assassin.
It comes
here.
back at some point.
Well, then I guess we brought it back in the later version. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and maybe I'm going backwards. So from my perspective, when I played, is TSR, I wasn't a big fan, no offense to Bill or anyone, of the third party things. It was, I don't know why, but when I started, if it wasn't TSR, and I think there was that divide, if you started before 1979, before all the AD&D codification, you still had that do-it-yourself kind of thing, whereas, I don't know what it was, or maybe the play group. Anyway, fast forward.
If you couldn't buy it at Walden Books, we weren't buying it.
Right.
And Walden Books didn't have Judges Guild.
Yeah, and maybe growing up in New York City, the idea of mailing away stuff always seemed like, well, I might as well just take my money and rip it in half. I'm never going to get
right.
this. There was no trust.
Send a money order. Well, I didn't even know how to get a money order.
Right.
Send a money order to Joe, for this
Right.
adventure.
Joe, so I guess the thing is, how did you get into publishing? And was that were you a professional publisher before? And I'm just imagining these hurdles. If you haven't been in publishing and now you're trying to navigate this legal morass to try to publish something that is to the spirit of what you're trying to do, but yet not get in trouble, that just seems like a daunting task.
Well, it helped having, people in the OSRIC design and in sort of extended design team who are lawyers. So, Matt Finch is a lawyer. So that helped for sure, and sort of understanding the framework and how to leverage it.
So as I said, how did you get through it with all the lawyers? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought that would kill it.
How did it ever get published?
Right. I thought OSRIC would just be all black pages a CIA thing.
Wait, you're saying this is because of the lawyers, not in spite of the lawyers? I'm confused.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So lawyers can occasionally do good, actually. So
yeah, that's true. Everyone, when you need a lawyer, then you love them.
But I had a very similar experience with third-party products as a kid. The very few Judges Guild books I saw were not Dark Tower or Caverns of Thracia. They were Laura's Tower and Wondrous Relics 3 and things like that.
Are you writing those down? We need those.
They were terrible. So I thought Judges Guild was crap as a kid. And in particular, the production values, of course, because you could hold the paper up to the light and see through it,
Yeah.
So
you didn't bring it back though. What'd you bring back? You didn't bring it back like the joke Castle Greyhawk.
I didn't buy those. No, I guess I got them at a convention or something like that too. So yeah,
5-finger discount.
But,
I'd like to return this.
I mean, he's a Philly kid. I mean, what do you expect? New York, that's how it was. Right?
That's what you do.
I still remember Dino. If you're out there, he shoved 2 Maharas down his pants in B. Dalton. So
and then you went through that adventure.
D&D true crime.
And he pulls it out.
We're trying to get on this true crime bandwagon. So we're looking for true crime, D&D true crime, so we can do a 3-hour podcast on the.
All right, I'll give some thought to that. Send you some notes.
Because that's so popular. Everyone, you could talk about how someone stole candy in 1980, and there'll be 300,000 views of that. But
a good show like ours.
Like our quality entertainment, like we have.
73 views.
Yeah, hey, don't be ambitious.
Has OSR? How is the OSR movement different than the original? So the way people approach 1E play now as part of the OSR movement, do you view it as different now that we're all older and mature?
Yes.
Well, I like to think that we've learned better how to run games and write games and stuff. We're not 12 anymore, thank God.
So, and what makes for a better game? So, for example, what was it about the adventure you went through in '84? The Treasure of the Dragon. What makes it a good adventure?
Well, I think convention adventures are sort of a little bit of a different breed than your kind of standard campaign adventure. But I think what made that fun was that it was illustrated. It was kind of gonzo with the beholder, and what I remember is there being this giant multi-sided battle at the end of it, kind of Battle of 5 Armies kind of thing, or something like that, inside this temple structure that we had to locate in this wilderness. So it's mostly a wilderness adventure that we were kind of running around hex crawling in for that. But in terms of kind of what we know now versus then, when we sat down to start our campaign with Caverns of Thracia, we talked about building a campaign and playing a campaign and not just doing one-offs and stuff. And I think when we were kids, that's mostly what we did. Was we played modules, whether they were from TSR or from third-party people or from Dungeon or Dragon magazine, and we strung them together. And there wasn't as much kind of campaign structure. There was some. I mean, I remember doing some Greyhawk campaign stuff that was in the 80s that was kind kind of lifting ideas out of Gygax's Greyhawk novels to use as kind of overall arching themes and plot structures and things like that. And then when I got into college, you know, we had some fun campaigns that we did there as well. And I played probably as much as I would DM in college. I probably played a little bit more there. But I think over time that's a shift, I think, is the return to the campaign. And I think the OSR kind of holds that up as an ideal in the same way that the Mega Dungeon kind of got held up as an ideal vehicle for role-playing.
It's interesting because you think that back in the day we had so much time. I mean, we could play every afternoon. So for so many of us now, we have so little time. So I would think it's for many of us, it'd be hard for me to have a campaign, just because I realistically am not going to be meeting more than once every 2 weeks, maybe. I would think a campaign would be tough.
Well, I think you could still have a campaign playing every 2 weeks. Yeah. So with the pandemic, I started 2 new campaigns in January of last year. I started an online Castle Greyhawk game that's still going, and then we started an in-person campaign that converted to online, and then we kind of put on hold in the fall till we could get back together in person, because the guys didn't want to keep doing it on the side.
Do you need,
virtually?
To run a good campaign, do you need a single DM, or can it be done with multiple DMs? Because I was thinking a campaign, if it's a single DM, that's tough on the DM, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think you could definitely make multiple DMs work. That's one of the things I enjoyed, and that I picked Rob Kuntz's brain on quite a bit as a kid. And then as he and I would run games together at conventions, I would co-DM with him sometimes. So it's kind of fun seeing how that process works. And that's not quite the same as obviously running a whole campaign together. But yeah, I think you could definitely make it work with multiple DMs, either rotating through the same world or just rotating through different campaign worlds or whatever. Just you need some way to stitch the stuff together. I think to me, that's one of the things that's more maybe also kind of grew out of this, out of the OSR, is this sense of kind of looking at how we play and finding ways to put a little more structure and maybe nomenclature around how we play. And then, so like, the OSR is very, and I think rightly so, enamored of factions in campaign gaming. So, how do you do that? How do you make that work? How do you design in factions? But you could have multiple DMs running different factions, or things like that. If you broke things down that way, there's lots of ways to skin the cat, I think.
Are you okay with that?
I'm very okay with that.
Skinning the cat.
Skinning a cat. It's just it's a, what do they call that? Euphemism, metaphor?
Colloquialism.
It's not actually. But he's got cats too. No, you're talking to a cat lover. Do you have any cats to show us?
I don't have any cats to show you right now. We have kittens that we're in the process of trying to. Okay. We've adopted 3 kittens, one of whom is a feral kitten from a cat who we've been taking care of in our backyard.
Oh, you're brave.
And she has 2 more kittens who we're hoping to be able to pull into the house and domesticate, but they disappeared a little bit after 4th of July because we think all the fireworks scared them away.
Okay, you may know this.
They're back.
What'll work with feral baby food? I'm not kidding. Baby food on the finger. You may.
We have some baby food now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
well, thanks for coming on.
The cats seem to like Frisky's meaty bits the best at the moment. So
yeah, all right. Well, it sounds like you got everything well under control.
Well, it sounds like you have. You've been talking about. I saw you were getting messages. I thought you were reserving your lunch, but you were peddling more cat trade, cat slave, indentured fostered.
Yeah.
Well, now you can work with Allan and make this across state lines. I'm sure there's other federal charges of trafficking.
So I can go to federal prison.
Right, federal.
That's a little bit easier than state prison.
Kittens.
Yeah. For sure.
And now I'm implicated because you've done this here in my presence.
I sense a true crime story coming out of this soon.
I'm trying to. It's all about. I'm willing to go to jail to get this true crime.
Well, if you'd like me to go steal something from Sci-Fi City later today, I'm happy to do that.
Great. I'll let Troy know that you're coming by to steal stuff. So that's awesome.
Favorite race and class to play?
Oh, I think it depends a little bit on what kind of options are on the table. So I've really enjoyed playing with clerics in Greyhawk, because you can kind of customize them to the god and get different things, powers and things like that with them. So I've enjoyed that quite a bit, and I've enjoyed really kind of building out some different aspects of clerical faiths or deital faiths in Greyhawk for my campaigns. I'm playing a paladin of Wee Joss right now in Bill Sylvie's Monday night AD&D games. So that's been a lot of fun.
Do you believe a neutral cleric should be able to turn? And if so, as an evil cleric or a good cleric?
I think it depends.
Oh.
So I let clerics, depending on, again, what god they are worshiping and how they're set up, perhaps they can do both, turn or command undead into service. Or, maybe there's different sects that have different powers.
Okay.
So Wee Joss is a fun example for that in Greyhawk, because she's a lawful deity, but she has worshippers who are lawful good, lawful neutral, and lawful evil. And being able to sort of explore the different flavors of clerics through that is a lot of fun.
Okay, James.
Well, I was going to say we have a question from Carlos, who I guess not the Carlos, another Carlos.
Hi Carlos, who's not Carlos Lyson.
But related to Carlos, which is he I think you sort of answered his question. Are you running an AD&D campaign or D&D, and is it set in Greyhawk? It sounds like you said yes, you were.
Yeah.
And is ongoings or just occasional?
So I've got an ongoing game that I'm DMing. That's my virtual Castle Greyhawk game. I had an ongoing campaign that had started at the same time that's on hold. And my goal with that was to have 2 campaigns going in the same setting at the same time, which I haven't done since college. So to have intermixing potentially player groups and stuff like that. But that one's on hold for the moment till we get, fully back on board with gaming in person. And then my son, Henry, who is 13, is DMing a solo campaign in Greyhawk for me that he's created out of whole cloth in South Province of Greyhawk. And then I DM an occasional game with he and his brothers still, where they're exploring Castle Greyhawk as well. So.
Oh, very good. And so Carlos just also said that he played with you at the virtual Greyhawk that was DM'd by the other Carlos. And you were the magic user who saved the party's bacon, so we wanted to thank you for that. So.
Excellent. Carlos Lysing is a fabulous dungeon master.
Oh.
We've had a lot of fun playing in games with him over the years.
So he is,
and we sell his books at our booth too, at Black Blade's booth.
So now we can shamelessly plug, because we have a convention coming in October, GrogCon in Orlando, and Carlos is coming down. He's writing the tournament adventure for us, and he'll be running it with us. I think he's going to allow us to run it, because I don't think he can do all the people. And we're again, if you're available and you want to come down, give us a shout. We'd love to see you if that's possible.
And when again in October is that?
Well, October 15th through 17th. There's another thing on the Grog line. It's in. I'll send you the information, sir. We'd love to have you, and certainly if you wanted to run something, we could make some arrangements too, to make it a little easier for you to come down if that's something you wanted to do.
Is the tournament? I would love the opportunity to do that if it worked out. Is this the tournament that you guys had done the naming contest for?
Yes, that's correct. You are the winner.
Okay.
He was the winner, wasn't he?
That's right.
You are the winner. Yeah. See, I cry foul, because did your
why is that foul?
I know, like attacking the guests. It's not good for the show.
I wonder why we can't get people on sometimes. They're like, we heard what you did to Allan.
You attacked Allan Grohe. Calm down, Dan. Wait a second. Did your name have any sort of Greyhawkiness to it?
Well, it's about the Witch Queen.
I probably already asked Carlos this.
No, you...
Because, see, were you playing the Greyhawk angle? Because I submitted the Wee Goblin, and the Wee Goblin had no Greyhawkiness to it, and it was summarily dispatched by Carlos. So,
well, he has good taste.
Was there I want to know, is there a Greyhawky thing going on here? You know what I mean?
So remind me again of because I think I submitted 2 or 3 names, but I'm thinking it was something around the Witch Queen or something like that.
That's right. It was the Witch.
What was it?
See, he's the winner.
Lament,
he doesn't even remember his name.
The Witch Queen's Lament. Okay,
yes.
Right. So the Witch Queen is a title or epithet of Igwilv in Greyhawk.
Well,
see.
That's not how.
It's like studying the teacher. You know, right. Always write this on the exam.
Exactly.
You got to throw in some Greyhawk stuff. All right, I'm going to know that next time.
Right. I mean, that's.
And if you would like some consulting for some Greyhawk uplifting of your submissions in the future, I'm happy to do that at $5 a title, no problem.
Wow, that's rough. So there's no Wee Goblin in Greyhawk? Apparently not.
There's not, but you.
Well, apparently Carlos wasn't up to the challenge of that.
I think he's gonna. So we're fortunate. Carlos has come on a number of times, and he does a segment called Incomprehensible Death for us. We were reading about cursed scrolls and that you could be killed without even able to read the scroll. If you just looked at it, the curse went off. He said, "Oh, that's incomprehensible." So now we have him come on every few months, and he writes a little adventure for us where he kills our pre-gen characters in an incomprehensible way. So we're very.
That sounds fabulous.
And
that's why I was setting you up there, Dan.
Oh, you were at the convention. He's going to be hosting an incomprehensible death session for as many players who will play. We're trying to set the world record for the largest incomprehensible death session, which currently the world record is just 2.
2, right.
Us. So we should be able to. So we're hoping for like 20, 30 people.
Where he's going to kill them all. Right at
10 times the number of deaths as previously inflicted.
That's the slogan. 10 times the death.
10 times the death. Same amount of fun, 10 times.
Same amount of fun, 10 times the death.
Well, you should use your critical hits tables for that, obviously, as part of it. So I thought it was very interesting, the timing, because Jon Hershberger and his crew of players use those good hits, bad misses tables in their campaign.
We used to use, yes, because we're talking. He's going to be coming on in September. So he didn't come on today, but yes, we're hoping to have the author of Good Hits and Bad Misses from Dragon Magazine, which James is not as in love with because he thinks it's too deadly on poor characters, because the monsters get to use it. You know?
I'm not a fan of criticals or fumbles, because Gary wasn't a big fan. Right. And statistically, if your campaign has a lot more monsters, they have more chances. Yes, a fumble is not as catastrophic for a goblin as it is for the player.
Right.
Yeah.
But players love it. You see their look when they roll the 20. They go, and you go,
yeah.
Congratulations, you hit them.
Yeah, if you're not using, that's true. If you're not using a critical hit thing, they look very sad.
They erupt
when they find
with the 20.
out that a 20 means nothing more than a hit with a 12.
Congratulations.
So I don't use the good hits and bad misses article when I'm DMing, but I have always liked the idea of a 20 sort of representing a perfect hit. So if you don't already need a 20 or more to hit on your roll, for me, then 20 will cause maximum damage on the roll, which I think is reasonable because it's within the realm of normal die rolling. You could roll max damage on any roll.
But this is, I mean, now, so a conversation probably better for Carl's breaking out. But, Carl's argument, which I bought, is that the problem with that system is that if you need a 20 to hit, then every hit, 100% of your hits are critical hits, or a 50%. And so
Agreed.
Right. And so that, he tried to solve that. But sometimes when you solve stuff, we have enough rolling in combat, don't we? I mean, is that your concern, James, too?
Yes.
You probably saw a lot of extra rolling. Everyone started in my game, they started rolling the percentile with the to hit die. So
And
they're rolling out all
and
these
some
dice.
people do that, they'll roll their to hit roll and damage roll at the same time. So that way you don't have to roll, spend extra time doing both.
So this would be so then you'd have, for those people, it'd be the to hit, the damage, and the percentile.
And the percentage die roll.
It looked like they were doing augury, like they were trying to figure
Exactly.
out.
And everyone's doing that. There's all these dice.
Right.
People they're losing their dice. Can
Flying
you get that over here?
Yeah. And then your die result says unlikely.
and if James, for his percentile, because you use the percentile, don't you, on the good hits and bad. If you're using James's now Death Star die, this thing rolls forever. It's 100. It's 100 sided.
Oh, sure.
So
that's why Zachi had them inside the little round ball for their 100-sider originally. Yeah.
That's good.
So.
Well, James can't buy another one because that was a gift.
Yeah,
so it would be rude.
That was a Father's Day gift.
He's got to use it.
I have to use this one now, which is fine. I'm told, but I think that's where, and also the skill level of your players or the experience of your players. We ran when we started. Dan started the game here. He basically, if you build it, they will come. He started a first edition meetup. People would come. It was an open table. Then I helped him DM. You get all kinds of experience levels. You don't.
Oh, yeah.
Any more dice, any more confusion, it's like they'll roll. I rolled a 15.
But the thing is, players like to roll more dice.
They do like rolling dice.
Even if it slows things down a little bit.
They do like rolling dice. That's one of the things. So Vic Dorso that I learned from Vic is he has players make a lot of the rolls that the DMs would make, and I think he's smart to do that.
Yes.
I remember your son said one time, he's like, 3 hours into the game, he's like, I haven't rolled a die. And I learned a lesson from that. You cannot go 3 hours into a game without your players rolling a die. They don't like that. So that was a lesson.
So when my players are in my Castle Greyhawk game, they roll the Wandering Monster dice. So they know the consequences of spending 3 turns searching this room for secret doors.
Do you do that? Do you look at the time? That's very laborious. Do you figure out the amount of time it takes to search by like 10 feet, add that all up, and wow.
It doesn't take long.
It doesn't?
So then you just I have them roll, and then I let them keep rolling. So if Dan, you rolled the Wandering Monster in my encounter because you rolled the 1 on the whatever die it was that was needed, then I'd be like, okay, Dan, so now go ahead and roll a 20-sider for me. And then I'll be like, oh, 13. Okay. Go ahead and roll 3 die 6 and add 3 for me. And that's how many goblins are showing up now and things like that. So you actually, they roll. There's a little bit of a dice rolling interlude with Wandering Monsters.
Well, that's good. And then you could say, it's their fault.
Right.
Yeah. Ear Seekers. I'm trying to figure out what kind of DM you are. Ear Seekers?
I don't use Ear Seekers very much. Okay. No. Bill Sylvie really hates Ear Seekers. He thinks they're like one of the worst things on the planet. And it's probably rubbed off on me a little.
Well, I think that, so Gary apparently was upset with people listening at doors too much, right? That's the story anyway, I think.
Right. Yeah.
What happened?
There's other ways to get around that, The door's a mimic now and then,
Yeah, that'll do it. What happens to first edition ultimately? Is OSR, just because people like us are around, do you see 20 years from now, is first edition being played? That's kind of a depressing question, isn't it?
Thanks.
a very depressing Grogtalk episode.
I think there'll probably still be an audience for first edition for a while, but I think every edition has an audience. I mean, people still play fourth edition. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who still play third edition and, all the rest too. But yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm not as deeply plugged into all the places where OSR discussions happening. I'm a lightweight Discord user, for example, but I have been active on Reddit for the last few years, and there's a lot of people who are coming into AD&D to BX or some clone flavor thereof out of 5th edition because they're looking for something a little simpler, a little easier, maybe, or they're looking for something that just gives a little bit of a different feel. And I think that feel is the important part, AD&D feels second edition or third edition, or I haven't played fifth edition, so I can't really say how it feels. But
yeah, I mean, fifth edition has, well, and this is always the chicken and the egg. If you ran fifth edition, would you run it like a first edition, or would you run it as it's presented? Because you certainly can tailor it. There are optional rules in fifth edition. Because my son plays. I have 3 sons. My 2 older sons didn't really play, but when they got old enough, started playing with them. And my youngest son, his friends play fifth edition, and he ran a game, and it was he ran a first edition campaign. He also ran a fifth edition. And he likes the first edition feel, but some of the rules are just because he doesn't have the rose-colored glasses that we have, and it's like, these are stupid. And so I'm like, well, yeah, they're stupid, but they are stupid. So you just suck it up, Buttercup, and he'll still play him that way.
Right.
So I think for him, I think there is that idea of everyone. Obviously there's some nostalgia because we started with that, but there's things about it that are, like you said, it's that OSR, that renaissance to it of death is not cheap. You're not a superhero. You're zero to hero. All those kind of things that people like, and we've had people wanting to go back to that. There's this video game called Dark Souls that a lot of these kids play, and it's brutal. It's not. You have to go.
It's like playing Aliens, from what I understand.
Right. It's and so there's that group of people who want that feel of the game, which is it's not cheap. Everything's earned. This type of thing, and I think there will be always a niche to that. The question is, are they going to pull out the first edition monster manual?
Yeah, because you need to introduce the younger generation. They had to have played this, right? If they're not familiar with this, it's going to go away, right?
Right.
And I think there is going to be, because even first edition, because again, I was so myopic when I was a kid, because you had whatever B. Dalton's or Walden Books had, or the local hobby shop, that was the universe of things. And there was these weird things that they talked about in the DMG, like sword and sorcery and D&D. What are these things? And so there's these clues, these Easter eggs that you don't know. And the same thing in 5th edition. Would we have armor class and hit points today, or saving throws? I mean, there's still throwbacks to something that's 40 years that still hasn't gone away, but that's what D&D is.
Well, and my niece, who plays 5th edition, she didn't know the name Gygax. She didn't know. I was trying to be all cool. I'm like, look at my phone, and because I like Ernie's number. I mean, Ernie doesn't. If I called Ernie, he'd be like, "Who are you?" Right? But just because he was a guest on the show, so I happen to have his contact info. And of course, I have to then add him. Right. So I'm trying to be all cool. I'm like, look at this. She's like, who's that? I'm like, it's the last name Gygax. Who do you think it is? She's like, I have no idea. I'm like, do you know Gary Gygax? She'd know the name Gary Gygax.
Yeah.
So, which was, I don't know, it was kind of disappointing to me. But, I'm an old dude.
Well, I think it's nice that on some level the game can still survive its creators. And that does give me hope that there will be an audience for it. People may not necessarily know the history of all the details the way that, maybe we do. But if the game's still around and it's still fun to play and it's bringing in new people, I mean, I think that's what matters.
And that's Alan, I think, is the point. When I was growing up, I didn't know there was OD&D. I didn't know. I thought it said first edition. And I knew there was a basic, which was like the kiddie one. That's the way we looked at it. Why play basic? I want to play advanced D&D.
The only reason I wanted to play basic is because Errol Otis had the cover. Not Holmes, but the
Moldvay one.
The Moldvay one.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good enough.
And only later did I come back and realize, there's this whole history that we didn't know, wargaming and all this other stuff. So I think, it's just like any hobby.
Bronstein.
Or
whatever you play, Bronstein.
Right, yeah. The whole, and Dave Arneson's thing, and the whole Minneapolis versus the Lake Geneva. And we learned that because we became students of the game. And I think now that there's more people playing 5th, there will be people, when it becomes 9th edition, whenever that comes 40 years from now, there'll be people like, where did this all come from? So I think as long as the game is continuing, there'll be some version of it. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And I think, somebody made a comment. I don't remember now if it was on one of the forums, like Dragon's Foot or Knights and Knaves, Alehouse, or if it was like up on Reddit somewhere. But somebody was saying that, you know, every generation kind of has to recreate what art means to them.
Yeah.
You know, and if we have a game like this continuing multi-generationally, people are going to redefine it over time, and it's going to mean something new and different to a newer, younger audience than it does to folks our age.
Right. And I think that's great, or else it will die, or it won't be the same. So what's in store? What new products are you working on or designing? Or what things are on the horizon for the rest of, let's say, 2021?
So we had published Tales of Peril, which is a collection of John Eric Holmes's gaming fiction. So my first issues I bought of Dragon were 58 and 63 as a kid. And 58 had a story of his called In the Bag in it. And then I eventually kind of tracked down some of his other stories. And I corresponded with him when we lived in California for a little while. But this collects together all of his stories that were published in Dragon, as well as ones published in the first 20 issues of Alarms and Excursions, because he was a contributor during that time frame. So I'm in the process. So this is out of print now, basically. I found a box that we took to North Texas, and we sold all the rest of the printing for it. That box left. So I'm going through and correcting typos and stuff. So we're going to do a reprint of that. And then Chris Holmes has been talking with us about a couple different ideas. We haven't really settled on what the next project might be for this yet, but one would be to have a collection of fan-submitted stories set in Holmes's campaign universe. So they could be Boinger and Zareth stories, or Mary the Mage stories, or, you know, unrelated but in the same world, perhaps. So that's one possibility. And then the other one is we have Chris and his brother Tristan found Eric's all of his manuscripts and stuff. So we've talked about maybe publishing all the manuscripts from his campaign, and you can see some of the stories in the manuscripts in some cases.
Wow.
So that's something we thought about doing too, and then maybe taking some of those and maybe turning them into a fully fleshed adventure or something like that too. So, but those are all kind of nebulous. Not sure what we're doing, you know, exactly next projects. And then OSRIC's having a little bit of a renaissance of its own. So sales have definitely upticked over the last couple years with the pandemic. So I think that's been good for gaming in many ways, and people reaching out and rediscovering, you know, some of the roots of the hobby.
Global calamity, always good.
Some of our best readings during that era.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think there's been a lot of work that's going on the Knights and Knaves Alehouse boards about there's a big expansion for OSRIC that's been in the works for a number of years called Dangerous Dungeons, kind of modeled off of Harlan Ellison's old Dangerous Visions books. And that is sort of back on the table. So that would be adding in a whole bunch of new monsters, character classes. Think of it as a sort of an Unearthed Arcana expansion done right.
Oh, all right. Well, since you brought it up, Unearthed Arcana, what's your opinion?
See, I grew up so with Mrs. Mager's, you know, gifted projects. One of the things I did as a kid is I learned how to do footnotes and stuff by citing magic user spells from Dragon magazine. So I did, you know, bless her heart. I turned in 2 D&D modules as gifted writing assignments in school.
What a teacher. Wow. Where were these teachers? Though actually that's not true. I remember this, we did as a project the Villain volume, which was monsters for English, and I misspelled villain. I can't remember, I still don't know how to spell it. I did an AI instead of an IA or vice versa. So, but that's a great teacher. So, okay. So
yeah, so she was great. So I grew up with a lot of the stuff that was in Unearthed Arcana from Dragon magazine, because once I got those issues, I subscribed and became a dedicated reader, and then I tried to chase back issues back for where the Greyhawk lore was.
Well, that accounts for, say, the spells. But
Yeah.
there's some other items, which I know are in Dragon, which are, I think everyone is kind of okay with the spells. It's some of the other things.
Some of them are.
Yeah. I mean, I like, the character classes were, published in Dragon also, but I prefer, and the version of the Barbarian that I use is the one from Dragon, not the one in Unearthed Arcana. So I take I really don't like the tone that it sets to have barbarians out there trying to destroy magic items and stuff. It kind of makes them kind of lame, in my opinion.
Level limit. What about level limits?
Yeah, I think level limits are fine. My character my first character I ran in Bill's game was an elf fighter magic user. He was sort of an archer fighter, but he capped out as a level 5 fighter because he only had like 14 or 15 strength, whatever it was. And by the time he was a 7th level magic user, got really sick of dividing my experience points in half and getting nothing for the other half of them. So he retired with his girlfriend and they ran off to Selene. So that's when I started the Paladin. But yeah, I think level limits are good. I think it's one of the things that makes human characters so interesting when you balance that out across sort of the lifespan of demi-humans in a campaign game. If you're playing a convention game, it doesn't matter. So kind of do whatever you want. But
and so you're gonna do kind of like you said, the book that shall not be named. That's what we call it here. Again, for us, D&D ended in 1985 because we stopped.
Sure.
And May of '85 is kind of that's when it came out.
I just felt it was kind of jumping the shark. I mean, I remember when UA came out, I had a bad, it's like you said you had a bad feeling about 2E. I mean, I had that feeling with Unearthed Arcana. I'm like, something's changed here. This is, I don't know.
So how do you prevent that if you do a UA for OSRIC? How do you prevent that from going down that route? Or do you want to prevent that from going down that route?
Well, I think it depends on what kind of game you want to run. I think you can run lots of different types of games under 1E, and they don't even have to be necessarily consistent. You can experiment with, we want to go full on, 1.5 hardcore, for this campaign. And, maybe you use lots of non-weapon proficiencies and, stuff like that with it too, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think UA is still a good earmarker as a turning point for things starting to get wonky with the rules and things. And I think because it was so rushed, part of probably what stands out is that a lot of it was, not play tested. And that's so important to getting good quality design work done.
Unless you're Janelle J. Chris.
That's right.
Because she never, as you probably know that, she never play tested caverns, or which is pretty amazing, So, but few can do that, of course.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, James.
So,
any questions?
Yeah. So like Dangerous Dungeons is something that's kind of in the works, and will be coming together eventually. I don't know if I have my copy right handy now. Trent Smith did something very similar with his recent Heroic Legendarium. And my copy is not sitting right at hand.
And Allan, if you don't mind, if you send links to all these, we'll put them in the show notes. So if you can.
Sure. Yeah, I can send them.
That'd be great.
But Trent did something very similar with his project, and we debuted that at North Texas, along with several other like new OSR publishers' works and stuff like that at our booth. But he took some of what Gary had outlined in Dragon Magazine as what Gary was going to do with the rest of the classes for 2E AD&D if he'd have continued at the helm of TSR. So things like the Mountebank, the Jester, the Savant, the Mystic. Trent also took the Bard and turned them into a single classed class, and similar to what was done in Dragon 56. And then he took the spells for the bard and he made them into songs. So they're all spell songs. And he took quite a bit of inspiration from some of Gary's later work in Dangerous Journeys and kind of backporting some of that back to AD&D too. So I think Dangerous Dungeons would include some elements like that, along with a lot of other stuff from the folks who brought Monsters and Myth together, plus the rest of the OSRIC design team. So.
What is your most prized gaming possession? Because I know you're a collector, right? I mean, what is there one that stands out amongst all the others?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a number of original manuscripts from Rob and I have some from Gary, I guess, but I think they're mostly from Rob. So I've got 6 of Rob's Castle Greyhawk levels maps that are the maps that were they're photocopies made by him and Dave Sutherland from the original binder that then Rob did some like coloring and annotation and things on them in places. So I have those.
And you run a game, right? You've continued to, right? You've designed levels for that, right? You run a game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I've been running my version of Castle Greyhawk at GaryCon in North Texas, and gatherings for friends, and when I would do business trips out to California and back home to South Jersey and stuff over the years. So I've probably written I've designed. I don't know if they're not written, but I don't know, 50, 60 levels, something like that. I don't know.
And
so
that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
but it's over, a long time. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these maps are from the early 80s and things.
And what would you say is, out of curiosity, what would you say is the greatest adventure ever written? What would be number one? I know you're a list guy, right? You got a lot of lists.
Yeah. I think my tastes kind of change and evolve a little bit over time, but I think my favorite adventure for a long time has been sort of G3, really, Hall of the Fire Giant King. It's just such a great, awesome adventure, and it has a lot of those cool hallmarks that I love in Gary and Rob's work. You can you can build and expand from it into more in that site if you want to, and then it hints at building out more stuff, obviously, that became the D series modules and stuff. It introduces new cool monsters, things like that. But that's sort of been my go-to favorite adventure for D&D for a long time. I think my favorite adventure in general is probably still Massive Nyarlathotep for Cthulhu. So that Larry DiTilio's campaign is phenomenally brilliant. But I think over time I've gone, there's other ones that are really, I mean, Village of Hamlet still is great. Rob's WG5 Mark Castle adventure, Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure, that then expanded through the 3E era as Mark Castle and Dungeon. Those are really great designs as well. Definitely, that's probably still my favorite of Rob's adventures. Although, Bottle City's pretty darn good too. But and then I've been doing a lot of work around Drow stuff lately. So D3 D3 might be my, if I had to pick one today, that might be my favorite one today as an adventure. There's just so much more you can do with it, and it kind of becomes its own campaign setting as much as it is an adventure, just in the vault, ignoring all the rest of the Droic underworld.
Yeah, I think for me, and again, it's like you said, context, when you got exposed to it, what you're dealing with. For me, it's still A3, only because of the city. It was the first time that there was enough detail, and you had this idea of a slave. How would a slaver city work? And that your adventures, and it just was evocative. And it seemed viable, like it was in this mountain, so he had a little James Bond kind of weird thing.
Yeah. I have a lot of love for the A series. A1 was the first module I bought with my own money as a kid. So
A3 is the first module I didn't steal. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm not going to go there.
So Allan, we have a tradition. Thank you again for coming on. This has been a great time. Really, I know we went a little bit over. Thank you for your time. It's been awesome.
Oh, sure. It's been fun.
Conversation. So we have a tradition. The guest rolls a D10, one being we wasted their time. Or 10 is awesome, best interview ever. So if you have a D10, if you want to roll it for us, we'll rate the show. Just like in his spirit, like he does with his players. The fate is in his hands.
Fate is in your. And what I also love about our viewers is they almost always have a die nearby.
Right.
It's never like, where's that die? They just turn around.
And boom.
They just are like traveling with dice. Yes.
Yeah. So with the pandemic, I had to, because I don't have a lot of room on my desk with the phone and the computer and all the scanner and stuff on there. But I ended up getting a dice tray, and I had somebody build a dice tray for me, a friend of one of my cousin-in-laws. So this is the top side of it, and this is Greyhawk.
How was the location selected? Did you select the location?
Oh, I selected the location and gave her guidance on how to, kind of draw it. So I sent her pictures of the Darlene map and stuff. So this is the mid bay of Nerdive. Here's Greyhawk. Here's the swamp right nearby, the Cairn Hills, the Aberrals, all that.
So can I just ask you a question? If you and Carlos Lysing come upon each other at a convention, do you guys, I'm just imagining the conversation, do you guys just start launching into a Greyhawk conversation? James and I would have no idea what you're talking about.
We have certainly done that. So I met Carlos for the first time at GaryCon probably, I don't know, 4-6 years ago, something like that. So, and it was kind of that straight up kind of fun Greyhawk conversation. Yeah. But he's been really active on Greyhawk fandom for quite some time. He's been on Cannon Fire for years and stuff. So we knew each other from online already.
Got it.
Similar to you and I knowing each other from the Asego.
Right.
So what did you roll?
Yeah. So I rolled a 9. Can you see it here? Let's see.
A 9. Yeah, absolutely.
9. And this is my die. I have this die and another die are my 2 dice that are the only thing useful that came out of the Cyborg Commando game.
Oh, and I love how you showed us I do this too, though. But I love how you showed it. Like, you couldn't just switch it around. You know what I mean? Like, when you hold it up, you can just switch it around. But no, I do that too. So.
Well, I know you do. But I have integrity with Allan. You
trust
divine
Allan.
intervention rolls, I always feel like you've rolled a 10 or less more than statistically feasible.
Are you mean to me? Yes, but. Yeah, I deserve it.
I do it in love. That's why.
I deserve it in love.
Well,
does Dan cheat on his divine intervention rolls? Oh, it's a yes.
I do not. This is horrible. Wow.
Well, with that, see, this is finally a guest who supports me. Last time Janelle was all about Tom Bombadil.
What do you think of Tom Bombadil?
I have more appreciation for him now than I did as a kid.
Well, James hasn't grown up yet. So.
That's you got that right.
I skipped him a lot as a kid, but I think
he's matured.
what I wish they had done, and Bombadil you could still kind of hand wave out, but what I missed the most about the Bombadil part of the episode is if you take out Bombadil, you lose the Barrow Downs, and that's a big bummer in my mind.
Yes, you absolutely lose the Barrow.
And you lose the Old Forest, and you lose Crick Hollow, and all the rest. So
yes. Yeah. And they didn't, and the whole race across the ford and all that too. Right before that was out of the movie. That's all that area.
Gandalf Frodo gets the ring. They fight them at the mountain. They go to Rivendell. That saved 500 pages, and we could get to Moria. It's all about getting to Moria.
He was a ring bearer. He was a ring bearer. He held the ring.
Right, he did.
Put it. It went on his finger.
Yes, I know.
He was a ring bearer. Okay.
He was a ring bearer. I know you love throwing that out there for the nerds who know that. Well, Allan, thank you again for your time today.
This was fun.
You on social media that people can find you that you can, if they have questions or want to commiserate with you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, and I'm not really a good Twitter or Discord user, but I'm there. And then you can find me on the old boards and all that stuff too.
And I think and Black Blade has a Facebook page, I believe, right?
We have a Facebook page. Our website is sporadically up. So Facebook page is definitely the better way to get in touch with us for that. And then I've got my blog and whatnot. So yeah. I was going to send you guys some links. I don't remember what the links are.
Yeah, so just for people who are listening.
For Trent and things, yeah.
So we always, people listen to these shows way out later. We get comments a year after, and they're like, where can we find this? And we always like putting in the show notes so people can get access to that. So we really appreciate that. So
happy to.
So for Grog Talk, I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
And Allan, thank you again.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on Grog Talk. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Grog Talk was taped in front of a live studio audience.
We don't got no dragonborn in Hamlet. A dwarven magic use you won't see. Clerics must have deities to worship, as written in the holy DMG. We like delving dungeons and loot. Every orc is evil through and through, and we don't stay our hands and spare their children like the 5e hippies in the game stores do. And I'm proud to be a first edition grognard, living by the dice and Gare's decrees. But we fear only level, drain, and poison. And DM smiling wide behind the screen. We don't play heroes with long backstories. We fight for our lives to get XP. And there's nothing better than tell the glory of that one time we survived to level 3. And I'm proud to be a first edition grognard, living by the dice and Gare's decrees. We fear only level, drain, and poison. And DM smiling wide behind the screen. And DM smiling wide behind the screen. We love first edition AD&D.